Britney Spears needs some serious help right now. Fans are deeply concerned for her well-being. Britney Spears has once again set the internet on fire, literally and figuratively. Fans were left stunned after her latest post where she casually admitted she burned down her bathroom. In the clip, she's dancing in a plunging cheetah print bodysuit near a fireplace, a candle dangerously kind of flickering just inches away, and she drops the bombshell. "I burned my bathroom down today, ran like a maniac back to the house, and honestly, I'm tired of making sense of things." Now, we all know Britney has always had a flair for the dramatics, but this isn't just quirky Britney, this is terrifying. And sadly, it's not the first time something like this has happened. Back in 2020, she admitted she managed to burn down her entire home gym. How? Well, 2 candles. That's it. She said she just left them burning and one thing led to another. The result? A gym in ashes. Now, she brushed it off at the time with her usual, "oops, I did it again" kind of energy, but burning down your own house isn't exactly an adorable pop star quirk. It's very dangerous, reckless, and honestly just a huge red flag. Fast forward to earlier this year, and Britney shared yet another frightening accident involving fire. This time with her fireplace. She says it blew up in her face, leaving her without eyebrows, eyelashes, and even parts of her hair. Think about that for a second. That's not just an accident, that's a near disaster. Britney is literally walking through flames and documenting it like it's just another Tuesday. But it's not just about the fire, it's about the bigger picture. Britney's social media presence has become a window into her unraveling mental state. The dancing videos, the strange captions, the emotional overshares, they're more than just eccentric behavior. They look like cries for help. One moment she's twirling around like nothing's wrong, and the next she's writing things that sound like they came straight out of a diary meltdown. And millions of fans are watching it all unfold in real time. People close to Britney have reportedly tried to step in. We've heard about interventions, late night phone calls, and worried family members, but none of it sticks. Every attempt to help her either fizzles out or gets shut down. It's like watching someone trapped in quicksand, waving their arms while everyone around them argues about how to pull them out. And here's the thing, Britney isn't just any celebrity, she's Britney Spears. She's been in the spotlight since she was a teenager, picked apart, criticized, controlled, and even legally stripped of her independence for over a decade under her conservatorship. That's years of trauma, manipulation, a total lack of freedom. Is it any wonder that she's unraveling now that she's finally quote unquote free? I mean, this isn't acute chaos of 2007, when she shaved her head and everyone laughed. This is deeper, this is darker, and it feels like we're kind of inching closer to another tragedy that could have been prevented. Britney doesn't just need space, she doesn't just need fans rooting for her in the comments, she needs actual help, like professional, medical, compassionate help. The scariest part is the blurred line between performance and pain. She's still giving us the show, costumes, dancing, theatrics, but behind the glitter and Instagram filters is someone who seems to be spiraling. Every fire, every cryptic post, every emotional collapse is like a warning shot. I mean, how many warning signs are we supposed to ignore, right? Britney Spears doesn't need more gossip columns. She doesn't need more headlines dissecting her every move. What she needs is safety. She needs stability. She needs people who will protect her, not exploit her, because right now the signs are flashing bright red, and if no one steps in, I mean, the next headline about Britney might not be something anyone wants to read. At the end of the day, this isn't just about a pop icon. This is about a human being whose struggles are playing out in front of the entire world. If we don't start talking about those struggles seriously, Britney Spears might not just burn down her bathroom, she might burn out completely. Lindsay Lohan, she had everything going for her as a child star, but her transition from a freckled-faced Disney kid to full-blown adult was difficult to say the least. A DUI arrest that happened in May of 2007 was the beginning of the end for the celeb, as what followed immediately after was a string of more misdemeanors and missed court dates. Lohan's public meltdowns caused her to get less and less movie roles, and between car accidents, accusations of theft, multiple stays in rehab, and even a brief time in jail, she remained the paparazzi's top target and the public's biggest fascination at the time. She has very recently had the comeback of the century, so kudos to her, and here's hoping it sticks. Amanda Bynes, as the star of her own Nickelodeon show and her roles in countless teen comedies, she was seen as the bubbly girl next door and a promising actress on her rise to superstardom. However, in March of 2012, she had some very public meltdowns as she got a DUI and was also charged with possession of illicit substances. Now, her personal appearance also drastically started changing, and rumors were fueled that she had undergone botched plastic surgery. If that wasn't enough, her social media presence also became increasingly bizarre. On Twitter, she said some very vulgar things about Drake, and in May of 2013, she was seen throwing a glass smoking device out of the 36th floor window of her New York apartment. She was then hospitalized in a mental health facility and then later released into the care of her parents, who were granted conservatorship over her affairs. Britney Spears, this teen pop star who got her first kick on the Mickey Mouse Club along fellow stars like Justin Timberlake and Ryan Gosling, was arguably the biggest superstar in the world in the late 90s and early 2000s. But by 2004, when she married twice in a 9-month span, first to friend Jason Alexander and next to her backup dancer Kevin Federline, that was the start of the fall. As she started her family, Spears was hounded by paparazzi and accused of everything from negligent parenting to substance dependency issues, and a day after walking out of rehab, she experienced a very public meltdown as we watched her shave her head bald in 2007 and attack paparazzi with an umbrella. The courts then placed Britney under the conservatorship of her father, Jamie Spears, and it wasn't until just a couple years ago that she was released from it after the whole Free Britney movement. Although her recent behavior online suggests to many that that may have been a mistake to have her released. Demi Lovato. From the beginning, Demi was a little edgy for the Disney Channel that employed her, but they made it work. After co-starring in the camp rock movies with the Jonas Brothers and releasing 2 solo albums, rumors quickly began to surface of her using illegal substances and getting in fights with people on set. In October of 2010, Demi reportedly punched a backup dancer while on tour and withdrew tour dates to go into treatment for substance use. Now, she did re-emerge alongside Britney Spears as a judge on the show X Factor, but that was short-lived as she had allegedly relapsed shortly after that, and finally did an MTV documentary-style interview where she actually spoke openly and quite frankly about her issues and continuing recovery journey. Aaron Carter. If you know the Backstreet Boys, you'll know the late Aaron Carter. BSB's fan base was so popular that anyone associated with them would be able to easily gain that notoriety as well. Well, Nick Carter's younger brother Aaron was able to start and boost his career to platinum heights at such a young age. Aaron quickly became involved in a media frenzy when he was caught up in a love triangle with Lindsay Lohan and Hilary Duff. Now, as he became older, things started to take a turn and we started to see him spiral. He actually was arrested and charged with a DUI in 2017, and by 2019 his overall health was at a low, and his brother Aaron actually obtained a temporary restraining order against Aaron because he allegedly made threats to him. The most public meltdown though was when he actually appeared on the daytime show The Doctors and revealed that he had been diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, acute anxiety, and manic depression. He had a child in 2021, and sadly 1 year later on November 5th, 2022, he passed away at the age of 34, so rest in peace. Selena Gomez, the Wizards of Waverly Place and Disney starlet turned singer slash superstar, has been famous and in the headlines for one reason or the other in the past 2 decades, but she started to rebel in her own ways the older she got, and it seems to have started, after she starred in the 2013 film Spring Breakers, because by 2014, she canceled tours and was checked into an Arizona rehab facility for 2 weeks. Fast forward to just recently in January of 2025, Selena had a seemingly public meltdown as she faced backlash for sobbing over ICE arrests in 2 now deleted videos. Now, upon receiving a ton of backlash and deleting the post, she then shared a follow-up post on her Instagram where she wrote, "Apparently it's not okay to show empathy for people." However, she deleted that post also. Most of the fans, reactions were of the consensus that Selena crying on film was not going to help any family affected, and were upset that she waited until it was too late to show empathy. Charlie Sheen. In a rather strange interview with ABC in February of 2011, the actor blasted 2.5 Men creator Chuck Lorre and proclaimed he was not bipolar but bi-winning. He also called Lorre a turd and a clown. During this interview, Charlie Sheen explains that he has tiger blood, and when she asked, the last time he used, he said, I use a blender, I use a vacuum cleaner, but ultimately said he can't remember the last time he used illegal substances. Now, from beginning to end, Sheen seems to celebrate his obvious meltdown, leading many to fear for his physical and psychological health. Despite the controversy surrounding the interview, it gained him further popularity. It gained him further popularity and actually gave the show he once was on the highest rating of the night. Chris Brown. In 2011, his Good Morning America appearance began with a smile, but he ultimately left angry and shirtless. The interview itself is very brief, with Robin Roberts focusing mostly on Brown's past and public image rather than his new album. Now on camera, Brown stays focused and even performs a song. Backstage, however, things went sour when Roberts began the conversation by asking about Rihanna. This interview came 2 years after pleading guilty to charges, and Chris Brown was clearly not pleased that his past kept being brought up. Brown didn't appreciate Robin Roberts prying about his situation with Rihanna and all of the hate that he got for it, so he had a very public meltdown. Brown stormed backstage after the interview, ripped his shirt off, and smashed a window with a chair, causing it to shatter and the shards of glass to fall on the sidewalk outside. Security was reportedly called to the scene immediately, but by the time they arrived, a very shirtless Brown was just headed out the door. Alec Baldwin. While a very popular actor, Alec Baldwin's temper has repeatedly gotten him into a lot of trouble. Back in 2007, Baldwin left a very nasty voicemail for his 11-year-old daughter, Ireland, calling her a thoughtless little pig. The incident was, acted upon a family judge who prevented Baldwin from contacting Ireland. Now, 4 years later, Baldwin got kicked off an American Airlines flight for being violent and belligerent. He had reportedly been asked to put his phone away, resulting in a public meltdown that saw him banging on walls, throwing papers on the ground, and screaming at the stewardess. Now, the incident was later parodied by Baldwin himself on Saturday Night Live. At least he has some self-awareness. Christian Bale. It's clear that this Oscar-winning actor takes his job very seriously, and it resulted in a meltdown for the ages. Bale was filming Terminator Salvation and was deeply angered by the on-set actions of cinematographer Shane Hurlbut. Bale stopped performing and screamed at him in a very lengthy tirade. Bale's flurry of profanity would make Tony Montana proud. At one point, it even sounds like Bale is restrained to keep things from getting physical. Now, this legendary meltdown was captured on audio only, sadly, and discreetly released to the public, where it became a pop culture sensation. Bale later apologized for the rant and said that he had made up with Halbert.
We've had a pretty remarkable meltdown from Kanye West. The rapper turned designer turned US presidential candidate turned Yahtzee with an N has been crashing out online. Admittedly, for a few years, but it picked up in 2025 after the Grammys. The Grammys this year is where Ye's wife Bianca was nude with mesh. Obviously, there was lots of pushback because of this fashion choice that eventually spurred on the latest Kanye West social media rant. Parts of the rant were in support of his wife and her fashion choices, but there were other things in there as well. Lots of hateful words, mainly directed at the Jewish population. He also tweeted in support of people like Diddy and against those that have come forward in the Me Too movement. Essentially, he was tweeting whatever came to mind. Most notably, he tweeted out a photo of a white t-shirt with a well-known Yahtzee with an N hate symbol on it and said that he would never sell something like that because his followers might get hurt if they wear it in public. So not because that symbol is a mark of hatred, at least in the way that Kanye was using it, not in its original context of course, but because the people that would want to wear it hatefully might get hurt. Anyways, literally, guess what he started selling shortly after that? You'll never get it. The very same t-shirt. He took out an ad during the Super Bowl, aka like the most watched sports event in the US, and advertised his website, but when people went there, the only item for sale was the shirt he said he would never sell. The ad itself was also quite strange. It was filmed on his phone, which was similar to what he did last year, except last year he filmed from his car and the site was full of normal clothes and shoes, whereas this year he filmed from seemingly his dentist office right after a procedure, and the site led to the one terrible t-shirt. Kanye's Twitter rant eventually morphed into him literally tweeting out explicit videos, links to them, which is interesting considering a couple years ago he was calling for the site to remove all of that stuff and that Jesus saves. It was after this that he deactivated his account for the first time. He returned shortly after with more offensive and erratic tweets. Now, listen, I don't really think that Kanye is humiliated by his outbursts at all, but he should be. His hate-filled remarks have no place anywhere, and it's truly amazing amazing how in just a couple years he went from preaching about the Lord to claiming to be him. But back when the idea of going viral was still kind of a new thing, Christian Bale had a meltdown that grew so popular it was people's ringtones. So let's set the scene. Bale is working on Terminator Salvation, or T4. He's in the middle of a scene and the cinematographer walks into the background of a shot right across Bale's sightline. Bale proceeds to crash out about this. The video of this moment was never released if there was any, but there was audio, and honestly, the video's not really needed. You can hear how mad the actor is. After being released online, the audio quickly spread to every inch of the internet. It featured plenty of explicit language, enough to get cancelled by today's standards for sure. He called the cinematographer unprofessional multiple times, threatened to quit, the whole 9 yards. Bale yelled that he wouldn't go around during a scene ripping the set apart, so why should the cinematographer be disrespecting the actor's space like this too? In the end, the rant had more of an effect on Terminator Salvation than it did Bale's career. People obviously weren't happy with how Bale treated the cinematographer, but for the most part, it was just kind of the movie that flopped. People were already on the fence about T4, and the rant just made people want to see it less. Bale ended up issuing a public apology, saying he was out of order beyond belief, he makes no excuses for it, there is nobody that has heard the tape that has been hit harder than him, and saying that he sometimes gets so lost in a role that he does lose himself a bit. Shortly after this, Bale went on to star in the final installment of the Dark Knight trilogy, and the on-set rant turned into a minor hiccup in the actor's journey and a fun fact that you would hear about in a video like this. The on-set meltdown nearly destroyed his career at the time, but then, you know, Batman came back around, and it's amazing what a good acting performance can do for someone's reputation. Hugh Grant was called out online after the reason for his on-set meltdown on the Dungeons & Dragons film came to light. The British actor apparently lost it on a woman who was simply there to chaperone the young star of the movie. He had thought that she was someone who was more familiar with movie sets, like an executive or someone like that. I mean, that doesn't really warrant the response that he apparently had. Grant said that he had lost his temper and compared himself to Christian Bale's infamous 2009 incident. He shared all this in an interview with Total Film magazine. Apparently, it also happened on the first day of filming. He said that he ended up doing a lot of groveling once he realized the error of his ways and that the woman was actually very nice. Unfortunately, this outburst news was not exactly a surprise to a lot of people that have followed Grant's career through the years. He gained a rep for being very difficult on set. In 2012, TV host and actor Jon Stewart claimed that Grant's on-set behavior wasn't great, saying the actor would never be welcomed back on the show that he had been working for at the time. He also said that Grant was giving everyone grief the whole time. Hugh Grant appeared to have taken a break from acting early in his career, but according to the actor, that was not on purpose. Apparently, his behavior on the movie set, Did You Hear About the Morgans, caused opportunities to dry up for him, and that's not me saying that, it's him. He pinpointed this flick as the moment his career took a pause, claiming that Hollywood gave me up because I made such a massive turkey with that film with Sarah Jessica Parker. Whether I wanted to or not after that, the days of being a very well-paid leading man were suddenly gone overnight. People are also speculating that Grant is the person behind an on-set story from Rebecca Ferguson told early last year. The actress shared that she was once screamed at by a co-star on set to the point of tears. To be clear, Ferguson has never actually named the person that she was talking about. She made it clear that she wanted people to focus less on that and more on the message that she was trying to convey. The Sparks Notes version of that is that you need to know how to stand up for yourself. But still, the internet loves drama and began combing through her past projects trying to find the actor. Due to his past on-set behavior, when people saw that Hugh Grant starred in Florence Foster Jenkins with her, he became suspect number one. It's like a year later though, and there hasn't been any confirmation that the yeller was in fact Hugh Grant. Though the actor himself has said that Renee Zellweger is one of the few actresses that he hasn't fallen out with, so there's that. Hailey Bieber was called out by a former restaurant host on TikTok for being not nice, leading to the star issuing a public apology. Back in 2020, TikToker Julia Carol Ann started rating celebrities that she had interacted with during her time at an upscale, unspecified New York restaurant. Using a 1 to 10 schedule, she would share why certain people ranked the way that they did. Hailey Bieber received a 3.5 out of 10. Julia claimed that she had interacted with the model multiple times and none of them were great. She said that she wasn't trying to be a hater and wanted to like the star, but the score speaks for itself. It's not clear exactly what Bieber might have done to receive this score, but it's clear that she wasn't proud of her past actions when she actually found and responded to this video. The model left a comment apologizing for her behavior that read, "Just came across this video and wanted to say so sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude, that's not ever my intention." She went on to say that she was glad that she was called out and held accountable for her behavior so she can do better in the future. She also said that she hoped the pair could someday meet in person so she could apologize face to face. Carol Carol Ann did respond saying that she hopes for the same and that she also appreciated Bieber taking accountability for her actions. The precise words were calling her an accountability queen. Despite Bieber apologizing, people still attacked her online. She's one of those people on the internet that people just do not like and will take any opportunity to go after. Sometimes it's warranted, other times it's not, in my opinion anyways. Anyway, the point is she receives a lot of hate online pretty consistently, and that can take a toll mentally. She gave fans an inside look at how it all affects her in a series posted to her YouTube channel featuring psychiatrist Dr. Jessica Clemens. She directly addressed the previously mentioned TikTok, saying that seeing the video really upset her. She explained that at varying points, presumably including that of when she met the hostess, she was going through a lot of emotional lows and interacting with anyone was difficult. She did clarify that she knows that that doesn't excuse her negative behavior. The model shared that she actually didn't even remember meeting Carol Ann, but she still regretted her actions and wants to strive to do better.
Justin Bieber's latest public meltdown was sparked by his ex-girlfriend Selena Gomez's engagement to his former friend Benny Blanco, according to insiders. Now, it's alleged that the 31-year-old Canadian superstar had a lot of mixed feelings behind the announcement, as he once considered Blanco one of his closest friends. Selena Gomez and Justin had an on-off relationship between the years of 2010 and 2018. A source said that Justin confided in his breakup and heartbreak over Selena with Benny Blanco. Now, the source said, in a way, Justin felt betrayed even though he knew he had no right to feel that way. Justin shared cloudy-eyed footage to his Instagram of him seemingly on board, a plane and rapping about getting high. Some concerned fans branded the bizarre clip as desperate and sad. While Bieber has presumably, moved on with his life since their split, it would also seem though that he still has some feelings that haven't been addressed and some unresolved trauma from the relationship with Gomez. Now, this rapping video also comes days after his rep slammed rumors about him being on hard illegal substances. In the short clip, Bieber could be seen shirtless with a pair of pants on and a bright blue beanie as he held a bag of snacks in his hand. He could be heard rapping the lyrics that said, "High like a fly guy, I fly high like a magpie, I go high like a bad guy," as a beat played in the background. Now, one of Bieber's friends could be seen actually bopping his head in the back, kind of in the forefront actually, and dancing along to the beat in the video while putting a cigarette in his mouth. The pal even appeared to suggest some lyrics at the end of the video, adding, "'Cause I'm that guy." Now, in a statement from February 23rd, a member of Justin's team and his wife Hailey Baldwin's Bieber's team denied the rumors that he is using, these hard substances and called the allegations exhausting. Now, in this statement, the rep said that the past year has been very transformative for the hitmaker as he ended several close friendships and business relationships that just no longer served him. So instead, the team member said that he is supporting his wife Hailey and their son Jack Blues, who's now 6 months old, and is focusing on his health and art. Justin previously opened up about his past substance use in an interview with GQ in May of 2021. He said he once reached a very low point where security guards would sneak into his bedroom in the middle of the night and check his pulse to make sure he was still alive. He said in the interview there was a sense of still yearning for more. It was like I had all this success and it was still like I'm still sad and I'm still in pain and I still have these unresolved issues, and I thought all the success was going to make everything good. And so for me, the substances were a numbing agent to just continue to get through. Also noting that he, lost all control of his vision for his career at the time. Now, his reps have continued to say that the false rumors are pitiful, adding that despite the obvious truth, people are committed to keeping negative, salacious, harmful narratives well and alive. However, engagement may not be the only thing that weighs on Justin. Sources close to him say he has been mentally spiraling ever since disturbing allegations surfaced against his former mentor, Sean Diddy Combs. An insider says Justin is so disturbed by the Diddy news and is unwilling to process it or discuss it, so he has completely shut off. Now, the hip-hop mogul, who had once taken a young Bieber under his wing, was arrested last September on charges ranging basically from bad to worse. Crimes, of course, he denies. Now, Justin's marriage to Hailey Bieber has faced its own struggles. Since becoming a mother last August, Hailey has been grappling with emotional challenges, something many women experience post-pregnancy. And while Justin has been doing his best to support her, some sources suggest suggest his unpredictable behavior has strained their relationship. A source said Hailey loves him madly, but he's a loose cannon. Some of her friends have advised her to go at it alone and leave him. Now, earlier this month, another insider claimed that Baldwin was deeply concerned and didn't know where to turn for help. The news came days after Justin was supporting her at the Los Angeles launch of her pop-up for her makeup brand Rhode. Footage showed Bieber wearing a beanie hat, sunglasses, and clothes that basically swamped his slim figure, shifting his weight awkwardly, itching his thighs, and grinning uncontrollably. Now, following the event, Bieber shared an Instagram post with pictures of him and his wife beaming happily and hugging. He captioned his post saying, "Congrats baby on your beautiful Rhode pop-up." Baldwin's Instagram post after the event, containing 11 photos, did not include a single snap of her husband, which is a little weird. Hailey Bieber and her close friend Lori Harvey recently partied together amid her rumored relationship struggles with her husband Justin Bieber. Hailey Bieber attended the 2025 Vanity Fair Oscar party without her husband Justin Bieber by her side after they shut down speculation about their relationship. The Rhode founder wore a custom Saint Laurent black strapless mesh gown that featured satin bows tied around her waist and legs at the Wallace Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts in Beverly Hills, California on this past Sunday. Hailey added a pair of statement diamond earrings in the shape of a floral bouquet, as well as a diamond bracelet and her massive engagement ring from Justin, or wedding ring should I say. She appeared to be in good spirits for the outing as she smiled and posed for photos. The influencer spoke about how she picked out her look and explained that she was super happy with it. Hailey also admitted that she had a slightly different mindset attending the party this year because she is now a mom to her and Justin's 6-month-old son Jack. She said, "You're just thinking about such different things now, and I'm gonna go inside and be checking the baby monitor non-stop." The Rhode founder attended the Oscar party alone and seemingly had more fun though later in the night with Harvey. Hailey's fun activities come amongst rumors of tensions in her and Justin's marriage though, with insiders claiming, of course again, that she's deeply concerned about him. Now, Harvey shared a video on her Instagram stories page that showed her and Hailey dancing at the club while Crime Mob's classic tune "Knuck If You Buck" played in the background. The ladies looked excited as they danced to the song, though they seemingly didn't know the lyrics. At one point, Harvey actually knucked her fist into her and stretched her right wrist, while Hailey, who held the glass, actually dropped it to join her in doing the same. The ladies then laughed and then kind of just brushed it off. Now, Harvey captioned the video post basically saying exactly at Hailey Bieber. Now, the duo was seemingly partying at Jay-Z and Beyonce's Oscars 2025 after party as well, as the outfit Harvey wore in the clip was the same as that she was seen in while entering the party venue. Now, online blog The Shade Room reposted the video of Harvey and Hailey partying on its Instagram page, which sparked several reactions from fans. Some of the fans who commented made jokes about the pair not knowing the lyrics. One person wrote, "Lori, you don't know this song?" While another person added she doesn't know any of the lyrics. A third fan shared, "I know they never knucked or bucked a day in their lives." A fourth fan added, "They probably took ballet and piano classes when this banger dropped, so it's understandable." But those weren't the only reactions. Other fans had other reactions as well. Another fan called attention to Hailey and Justin's rumored marital issues and concerns about his health. So they wrote, "While Justin is out here looking like he is on his way out of this world, I can't." Basically ensuing that Hailey's out partying while Justin's at home sick, right? Now, at the end of February, Justin had fans worried for him after a shared video on his Instagram that showed him inhaling and exhaling smoke from what we are led to believe is a J. Justin, who wore a black beanie and a hoodie, grinned in a 1-minute clip as he puffed the smoke. He also danced to a song in the background and seemed to be in good spirits. Justin's video came after he posted another clip in which he rapped about, of course, being high, which made fans worry about his well-being. So many concerned fans, took to social media to air their frustrations with the musician, with one of them writing, "He's clearly stopped taking his meds, and it's sad to watch." Another person wrote, "This is so sad and so scary. I hope he gets help soon." The source also revealed though that he's not working out like he used to. He doesn't seem to eat like he once did, and people can see he has lost weight. So due to all of this, Hailey's friends have been basically begging her to leave him. One source said, she thought the baby would change him for the better. But girl, how many more episodes do we need to watch to learn that having a man's baby will not fix him? You should have known. The source also said that she has been putting up with a lot, and allegedly when the baby was born, he was there for her and she thought that would stick, but it indeed did not stick. Now, the source shared more details about Hailey and Justin Bieber's situation, revealing that the supermodel's best attempts to be there for her husband were often not reciprocated. They said Hailey has been trying to give Justin the help he needs, but he doesn't appreciate being told what to do and sometimes shuts her down and refuses to talk to her for days. Another insider claimed that Hailey puts up with Justin's baggage due to her desperation for them to be a complete family unit. They added, living with Justin is a stressful experience because he often likes his own way. Sometimes he can be a very unpleasant person to be around, and that's when she lets him do what he wants, as she knows it will be resolved a few days later. It's starting to sound toxic, and like maybe her friends asking her to get away might not be the worst advice, but what do you guys think? Should Hailey leave Justin and maybe wait it out to see if things will get better, or should she just leave right now, like immediately? Hailey Bieber is getting raw, real, and relatable while addressing her biggest concerns for hubby Justin. It has been 4 years since Justin Bieber released new music. Fans have become worried about him following several fan encounters. Justin Bieber appears to be sending a message about self-worth and boundaries, making it clear he owes nothing to anyone. In a very cryptic Instagram story posted last Saturday morning, the singer shared a simple text on a white background, seemingly addressing ongoing speculation about his health. He wrote, "Nothing is owed to us, and we don't owe anyone anything. Nobody has anything to prove today." The upload was soundtracked by the Stevie Wonder song Sir Duke. While he didn't specify what prompted the statement, it arrives amid a wave of rumors surrounding his personal life. Recently, speculation about his well-being intensified, with some questioning his physical and mental health. The frenzy escalated after paparazzi photos showed Bieber looking fatigued in public, sparking, a lot of concern about a possible relapse. Now, Bieber and his wife Hailey swiftly denied the accusations. Through a representative, they dismissed claims of illicit substance use as completely false and condemned the ongoing speculation. They called the persistent narratives exhausting and pitiful, criticizing the public's obsession with pushing negative, salacious, and harmful stories. Sources close to Bieber insist his tired appearance has nothing to do with any substances. Instead, they attribute it to his focus on creating new music while adjusting to life as a new father to his son Jack. Now, despite their efforts to shut down the rumors, the speculation hasn't entirely faded. Bieber's latest post suggests he remains unfazed, reminding the world that he controls his own narrative. Now that Bieber is back in the studio, it is probable that he will put an end to the speculation with a new song. Or maybe not, because as he has said, he's got nothing to prove. Hailey Bieber also dismissed claims that she liked a shady social media post mocking Selena Gomez and her fiance Benny Blanco. TikTok user Courtney Presto has claimed that Hailey reacted to a clip she posted on February 14th regarding Selena and Benny's photo shoot with Interview magazine, in which she made fun of some of the images featuring the pair. However, a representative for Hailey has refuted the claim, saying this never happened. Within hours of her rep, dispelling the rumors, Hailey had a few other things to address in her cryptic social media rant. Hailey wrote in a March 9th Instagram story, "Pastors and preachers really love to just put words together with the same letter and act like it's hitting so crazy." She went on to provide some examples, including, there's blessings in the brokenness and there's grace in the gratitude. She included a meme actually of Elmo surrounded by flames with his hands in the air, adding, "And then people sit there like this, eating it up." Whether or not these misgivings were related to the recent rumors that her feud with Selena is alive and well, Hailey made her annoyance abundantly clear. She basically just wants all y'all to stop. Now, another recent concerning incident is when Justin took to his Instagram sharing photos that showed him smoking from what appeared to be from a smoking device while sitting on an electric bike. Sporting a burgundy hoodie, black sweatpants, and brown boots, the musician was pictured indulging in a smoke during his recent getaway to Idaho, where he rang in his 31st birthday. One person on X said, "Aren't you in your 30s? Man up and be a dad." With another person chiming in saying, "Get off whatever substance you're on and raise your son. I hope Jack doesn't have to be around all this smoke. A kid doesn't deserve that." Many more comments were posted as well, most of which just asking basically if he has no shame and claiming that he's a horrible role model not only to his son but to his fans. One person went really low, saying, "Father of the year, unfortunately your dad was not a good role model. The main reason you should be to your sons. Break the cycle, hope the best for you." Now the comments continued and basically just went on and on and on, all bashing JB for his very, questionable behavior lately. Meanwhile, Hailey took to her Instagram with some solo shots of herself as she showed off the vintage Yves Saint Laurent gown that she wore to the Vanity Fair's Oscars 2025 after party. She simply captioned the post with a black heart emoji. This was actually her first red carpet appearance since they welcomed their son. Now, Hailey Bieber shared how being a mom to her and Justin's baby boy has given her a completely different mindset. During an interview on the red carpet, she said, "You're just thinking about such different things now. I'm gonna go inside and be checking my baby monitor like non-stop. So I have a completely different mindset." While Justin did not attend the red carpet event with Hailey, they did spend his birthday together and the day before on March 1st. Now the singer celebrated with his wife and son, showing different very cozy family moments in a photo carousel on Instagram, including one where the couple actually sported oversized sweatshirts as they embraced their sons, whose face is still concealed from the camera. Hailey shared her own tribute to him, posting an Instagram story with her holding his birthday cake as Justin blew out the candles. The celebration follows, these divorce rumors that have been circling their family for a couple of months now, including in January when Justin seemingly unfollowed Hailey on Instagram. Justin and Hailey Bieber's marriage has hit another turning point. According to a source, the couple is now facing counseling and therapy to try and do damage control for their marriage. An insider shared with an online news blog that they're doing tons of therapy to try and nip this all in the bud. Hailey's allegedly now completely fed up with Justin's behavior and almost ready to give up. But the source also said this is crisis time for them, that Hailey isn't quite ready to give up. With all the pressure they're under from the outside world, along with adjustments of having a new baby, it's no wonder they've both been super stressed. Getting some guidance makes perfect sense. Apparently, Justin has also been in full panic mode ever since his former mentor, Sean Diddy Combs, was locked up 6 months ago on a multitude of charges, all of which the rap mogul denies, of course. Now, sources also said Bieber is terrified that he'll get subpoenaed and, when Combs his case goes to trial, maybe he'll get called to the stand. And the fear of what might get exposed has apparently sent him into a downward spiral that has just rocked his 6-year marriage to Hailey. The insider said this is all very heavy stuff that Justin is dealing with. It requires expert help, and as his partner, Hailey has to be a part of the equation. So whenever something comes up, they see their counselor together. The source continued to say what he went through as a child star has left him with PTSD that he continually needs to work on. It's gotta be tough for Hailey, but she's committed to him and loves him fiercely. It's very clear she'll walk through the fire with him. Still, people worry about them. It's a lot for any couple to handle, and their fame, magnifies everything. It wasn't too long ago, though, that Justin Bieber shared another eyebrow-raising video where he stood close to the camera while inhaling and exhaling smoke from what appeared to be a J in a minute-long clip now shared to his stories. At one point, he had his eyes closed and flashed a very wide smile for a prolonged period of time while seemingly dancing. The video might have been a response to critics who claimed he was behaving strangely at his wife Hailey's Roadskin pop-up event in Los Angeles recently. It also comes, though, just 2 days after he shared the video of himself performing a rap about being high. Another source, close to the pair, claimed that he just doesn't care about his well-being anymore and that he has lost all motivation, even for making music, which used to excite him. The source allegedly said, he's not working out like he used to, he doesn't seem to eat like he once did, and people can see he has lost weight. It's like he doesn't care about his well-being anymore at all. He's moodier too, apparently. People are worried that he's just lost any motivation, even for music. Now, he goes to start recording, apparently, but then he cancels sessions because he just isn't in the mood. It's like he is struggling to focus on his own songwriting. The source also alleged that Hailey has tried to help him with that aspect also, but he just won't listen to her, so that's gotta be frustrating. They added that she now doesn't know where to turn exactly because neither of them are close with their respective families, which is likely why they turn to professionals, being psychiatrists and whatnot. Another insider claimed that the star has been struggling with his mental health for a few years now. Justin has been struggling for the last couple of years. It's played such a significant role, and he worries about being in certain public situations. This source said in a statement he has built up a deep fear of being out in spaces with lots of people and has a deep, seated worry about large crowds. They claimed Hailey has been encouraging him to spend time outside, with those close to him. They said the toll of being locked away from the world is also tough. It is tough on a partner like Hailey as well, who is supportive and wants to help him get through these moments. Justin has talked very candidly in the past about his mental health struggles, revealing that there were times when he felt really at his lowest. So this wouldn't be the first time the couple has sought, the help from professionals though. Back in 2022, Hailey opened up and got very candid about how therapy has been a game changer in her life and relationship. She's been open about her own mental health struggles and journey, and she exclaimed that therapy has been a part of her life for years, and she found that it helped improve her emotional well-being, but admitted it took her a while to be open to the idea of even going to therapy. She said in an interview at the time, it's something that I felt not sure of in the beginning, but the more I've grown, my relationship with my therapist has been such a game changer, and it's now a space where I feel really safe to be able to talk about what's going on in my mind, and she continued to say that she typically has a really hard time admitting when she's going through a hard time.
It was so obvious that Katy Perry was lip syncing during her performance at the NRJ Music Awards. Like, there was a very blatant 15-second delay between what she was hearing in her earpiece and what the audience was hearing in the crowd. And like in clips from that night, you can just see the embarrassment on Katy's face when the host of the show asked her to start again. And then, oh yeah, you actually have to sing. And that's not her only notable super embarrassing onstage moment. In 2008, she was performing her hit song I Kissed a Girl for the MTV Latin American Awards, and she must have thought that jumping into a gigantic pink frosted cake was like a great idea. But then it was time for her to get out of the cake, and she kind of was being held hostage. She fell flat on her face when she'd finally wrestled free of the cake, and then another 7 times before she was carried off stage, the cake tripping her on her way out. And even though it was like super embarrassing, she managed to keep a smile on her face, so like points to her, but like, girl, choices. Hugh Jackman once admitted in an interview that he had a bit of a leak in front of a crowd while he was on stage playing Gaston in a 1996 Australian production of Beauty and the Beast. So the actor revealed that after enduring headaches for 2 months, he asked an expert what to do, and they said drink more water. So on the day of performing, he consumed so much water that by the time he was set to deliver his first number, he had to go. He explained, literally, I'm picking up Belle, and as I pick her up, I stopped singing, and right in that moment, I realized the muscles you need to release in order to sing are the ones you don't want to release if you need to go. Back in 2013, Selena Gomez was performing at the Kiss FM Jingle Ball and was dealing with some major sound issues. Now, she might have been lip syncing because apparently what was heard in the crowd was her backup track, and like honestly whatever, lip syncing happens, but after one of her songs, the lights went down, the crowd went nuts, and then she yelled, "What the F?" into the microphone because she didn't realize it was still on. So then everybody in the crowd was murmuring like really nervously, and when the lights came back up, she was like, "Oh, so sorry guys, sound issues, I'm gonna play 2 more songs." Well, she only played 1 more song and then had to leave the stage. Poor thing. The 2012 Emmy Awards caused quite a ruckus for the beautiful Sofia Vergara. Seems like her designer dress was a little too tight and her derriere forced freedom and came up victorious. 20 minutes before Modern Family won the Outstanding Comedy Award for the 3rd year in a row, this wardrobe malfunction sent Sofia Vergara flying backstage to fix the problem with the help of her wardrobe team. Thankfully, this embarrassing moment did not faze her one bit. She even tweeted out the photo of her rear end for the entire world to see. You go, girl. Jennifer Lawrence is an incredible actress, super down to earth, super relatable. She's super talented, she's quick on her feet, but sometimes she's a little too quick on her feet. And we all saw this back in 2013 when she won Best Actress and tripped up the stairs while on her way to accept the award. Look, I've been there, I've worn the big skirts, I've fallen and done my fair share, but I don't think anybody has ever fallen quite as much as she has in terms of red carpet events, but she's doing great. Maybe just like get some help when you're wearing the big ball gowns. Been there. Beyonce is more than a person. She is the embodiment of beauty, talent, and success. She's lived most of her life on stage performing like she was born to do, and throughout her entire career she's remained classy in any outfit, no matter how revealing or outrageous, and has continued to be just incredible. It cannot be argued. Queen Bee all the way. But hey, even queens have their moments, and it's their choice on whether to dwell on them or pick themselves up. And I think we can all agree that when Queen Bee falls down, she bounces back up in a heartbeat, which she has proven to us over and over again. I think all in all she's fallen like 9 or 10 times, but her biggest stumble was during the Beyonce Experience tour, where she fell down 12 steps. Thankfully she didn't get hurt, but like, whew, poor thing. Ouchie. Kelly Clarkson found herself in a bad position after some food didn't agree with her stomach during a performance. She almost ended up pooping her pants on stage, and when she had the opportunity to run off during a quick change, she apparently destroyed a trash can. She said, like, I got some kind of wrecked up from some kind of food. We were in an arena, and I shouldn't tell this story, but like I said, I don't have a filter. She had to run backstage to do her quick change. She grabbed this poor trash can, and boy, she destroyed it. It was bad. She's like, it was bad. I'm just saying, it happens. What are you supposed to do? Hey, you do you. Things happen. Joe Jonas once had an accident on stage in the middle of a performance with his brother. Looking back on the 2019 incident, Joe says that when he realized he had also done a number 2, he quickly ran off to make a quick wardrobe change. And while he thought a lot of people would notice, turns out nobody really knew what was happening. He said, let's just say it was a bad day to choose to wear white clothing. You might think it might be a little toot, might have been a little something else, it was a little something extra. He said it was a light one, wasn't a full, so I was able to tell the tale. Thank you so much for that detail, Joe. That's what I needed today. He definitely continued the whole time. I thought this was definitely, somebody is going to be able to see this and know what is happening, but it was all in my head. Wasn't as big of a deal as I thought. But such is life. It's happened to many artists. I feel like I've paid my dues. I'm part of some secret club now. Yeah, okay, pal. In 2004, Ashley Simpson Gibson performed her hit single Pieces of Me on Saturday Night Live, and it went fine. But then when she came back to perform her next tune, Autobiography, things went south. The vocals for Pieces of Me began playing while her mic was down at her side. She tried to recover, for some reason, with a spontaneous hoedown before fleeing the stage. We've all seen the clip. At the end of the episode, a visibly mortified Simpson said, "I feel so bad. My band started playing the wrong song. Didn't know what to do. Thought I'd do a hoedown." Later on 60 Minutes, she blamed her acid reflux for her reliance on a backing vocal track, and she's attempted comebacks, but no public was having it. Her record sales never recovered. We haven't really heard from her ever again. The house is packed, the ovation is standing, but the reviews are scathing. Why is it that there was such a visceral reaction to Cameron Dallas's run in the Broadway adaptation of Mean Girls as romantic lead Aaron Samuels? Was the runway model turned Broadway star too harshly treated by the critics online? Or was this a really damning moment of the dreaded stunt casting that's plagued a lot of Broadway productions for years? When the original Aaron, the beloved by fans Kyle Selig, opted to take a leave of absence from the show, it was announced that Mean Girls would introduce Cameron Dallas to take over the mantle for just like 4 weeks. And the decision proved unpopular with hardcore fans of the New York theater community, but also saw a huge response from fans of the heartthrob. Look, at the time, he was like the most famous member of the cast. He had more followers on Insta and Twitter than the entire ensemble put together, multiple times over. His announcement on Instagram garnered almost as many likes as the official Mean Girls on Broadway account had followers altogether. We're talking like over 200,000. So there was no doubting, objectively, the considerable difference in ability at almost every quantifiable level between the social media celeb and the man he was covering for. Kyle's vocal range was leagues above Cameron Dallas's. Ditto to the acting credits. After all, there's a decade of experience in musical theater, stage time, and possibly most egregiously for theater purists, dues paid between the pair. Like when Kyle won the National High School Music Award and was subsequently granted a $10,000 scholarship for musical theater, Vine, the app where Cameron Dallas would launch his career, was still 2 years away from launching. One Reddit poster claimed that after watching the show on what was Cameron's opening night, that he sounded like he was reading his lines from a teleprompter. I remember when this hit the internet, I heard a boot. It was rough. John Cena made sure he didn't show too much on the 2024 Oscars stage. The actor appeared to be fully in the nude as he presented the award for Best Costume Design. He certainly wasn't wearing much, but he had some precautions in place to avoid any dramatic wardrobe malfunction. Now, behind the scenes photos do show Cena standing in an Oscars hallway wearing a modesty pouch to cover up the most personal parts. It's basically a pair of underwear, pocketed to, the front and the back. So while it looked like the pro wrestler could flash the audience at any moment, the Oscars team made sure that wasn't gonna happen. It was all an homage to one dramatic Oscars moment past. The 46th Academy Awards, 1974. David Niven was in the middle of introducing Elizabeth Taylor when a streaker ran across the stage, and host Jimmy Kimmel was like, hey, can you imagine if a nude man ran across the stage today? And Cena fit the bill, but he wasn't going to become the next Hollywood streaker. They were joking that, he was supposed to, and then he got cold feet. And if you found yourself wondering if this was a music performance or a episode of WWE Raw, don't worry, you're not alone. While performing at the 2013 Billboard Music Awards, R&B star Miguel decided to take things up a notch. He leapt from the stage across the teeming crowd, but fell short, directly landing on a fan's head while hitting another with his leg. To add to the awkwardness, he proceeded to hug the wrong person and continued with his performance. He later appeared in a backstage interview with one of the injured fans in an apparent attempt at damage control. However, he was eventually sued by another lady who claimed to have also been hurt by his humiliating jump.
First up, we have Ryan Gosling. Someone's clearly been taking lessons from a sassy child, because that's the vibe that Ryan Gosling was sending off in waves while being interviewed alongside his The Nice Guys co-star Russell Crowe on Stephen Colbert's Late Night Show. In 2016, during their segment, Ryan stormed off stage after Crowe implied that he actually didn't need him for the interview, trashing Colbert's table before storming away with the house band and then joining the audience, basically interrupting the whole show. Everyone in the audience had this very shocked look on their face, wasn't quite sure if it was staged or not, but later they would go on to say that it was a bit for the show, but many people speculated that that was just their cover-up story and Ryan was being a diva. Number 2, Piers Morgan. Arguably one of the most notorious on-air exits in television history occurred in 2021 when presenter Piers Morgan abruptly left the set of Good Morning Britain. This happened after the weather presenter Alex Beresford confronted him regarding remarks he had made about Meghan Markle's interview with Oprah Winfrey during the previous day's broadcast. Alex said, "And I understand that you've got a personal relationship with Meghan Markle and she cut you off. She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to, but yet you continue to trash her." This prompted Piers to stand up and exit the studio, which would ultimately mark his final appearance on the show. And later that day, it was revealed that he would be departing immediately amidst the controversy surrounding his remarks about the Duchess. Now, as he was storming off, he said, "Okay, I'm done with this. Sorry, no, can't do this. I'm off to spend more time with my opinions." Now, just a couple hours later after that incident, ITV released a statement saying, "Piers Morgan has decided now is the best time to leave Good Morning Britain. ITV has accepted this decision and has nothing further to add." Number 3, the Bee Gees. In 1997, during their appearance on Clive Anderson's All Talk, the Bee Gees found themselves at the receiving end of the host's jokes about their music. Within mere seconds of commencing the interview, Clive likened the group's distinctive high falsetto to Mickey Mouse and humorously suggested that the Bee Gees, renowned hitmakers, were only one letter shy of being hit writers. The breaking point for Barry Gibb and his brothers, Robin and Maurice, came when the host actually forgot their hit records, prompting them to get up and abruptly leave the show. Number 4, Crispin Glover. Now, Charlie's Angels actor Crispin Glover's unforgettable appearance on Late Show with David Letterman in 1987 secured its place as one of the most notorious moments in the genre's history. Crispin had previously garnered attention for his captivating performances in the 1984 film Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, also followed by his role as George McFly in Back to the Future, one of my favorites. Now, his scheduled guest spot on Late Night with David Letterman was intended to promote his latest film. However, instead of the expected promotional interview, the actor, who was only 23 at the time, delivered a very perplexing and bewildering segment that lacked a discernible purpose or direction. The catastrophic segment ended with David declaring, "I'm gonna go check on the top 10," before walking off the stage and leaving Crispin briefly alone before the show just basically cut to commercial. Number 5, Joan Rivers. In 2014, the late Joan Rivers made headlines when she dramatically exited a CNN interview. CNN host Frederica Whitfield was accusing Joan of being mean in some of her harsh fashion critiques, which appeared to ruffle the comedian's feathers. Frederica continued to challenge Joan as she said, "You're not really worried about feelings getting hurt," to which the showbiz personality replied, "Well, not when it's about dresses. It's not about them. It's about the clothing." But before abruptly walking out of her interview, Joan yelled, "Stop it with the 'you're mean' and 'you're that' and 'you're this.' You are not the one to interview a person who does humor. Sorry." She basically stormed off and left the interviewer shocked and basically in disbelief. Number 6, Chris Christie. Now, comedian Jimmy Fallon couldn't resist slipping in a wisecrack about former Governor Chris Christie's weight when the Republican presidential candidate attempted to recount a story involving ice cream. This incident unfolded during Christie's appearance in 2015 on The Tonight Show. Now, Christie was sharing an anecdote about a recent visit to New Hampshire where he and Florida Senator Marco Rubio had stayed with Utah Senator Mitt Romney. Now, during their stay, Christie recounted how they all went on a boat ride with their respective families, and upon returning to the dock, Mitt suggested that they all indulge in some ice cream. Christie described his reaction to the ice cream offer as all right, but Jimmy, making a playful reference to Christie's weight, suggested that his response might have been a tad more enthusiastic. Now, Christie caught on to the joke and, in kind of good humor, momentarily walked off the stage before returning with a comeback of his own. Number 7, Paris Hilton. When ABC interviewer Dan Harris asked Paris Hilton if she was worried about her, moment having passed, she laughed uncomfortably, then basically left. She got annoyed and walked out of the interview after he asked her about being past her prime and kind of living in the shadow of former friend Kim Kardashian. Now, in the clip, Harris repeatedly asks her if she's worried that, time has passed, she's not really popular anymore, and actually points out the low ratings on her Oxygen reality show, The World According to Paris. Now, Hilton answered, "I've been doing this for 15 years now, so it's been a long time. So just like any other business person or someone in the industry, it's always important to reinvent yourself and come up with new projects." After several basically clipped, quick no responses, she basically sighs, looks off camera, and just walks out and doesn't return. Number 8, Naomi Campbell. During an interview with ABC News in 2010, supermodel Naomi Campbell abruptly left when a discussion veered towards a blood diamond she was rumored to have received from former Liberian dictator Charles Taylor, who was facing war crimes charges at the time. She said, "I didn't receive a diamond, and I'm not going to speak about that." As the interviewer persisted in questioning Naomi about the issue, the fashion icon rose from her seat and departed, accidentally causing a camera to even topple over in the process. Later in the same year, Naomi acknowledged that she had received the diamond while providing testimony during the trial of the former leader. Number 9, Prince. Prince was interviewed on The View in 2010, but he didn't actually stay for long, and for years since, fans have wondered how he actually actually really felt about the interview. Prince joked about being on the morning show and said, "These are strange hours for rock stars." He mentioned that there was a wonderful series of concerts that he was doing there, as he was at the time playing at Madison Square Garden. Now, while the View's co-hosts were all thrilled to have Prince there, since he was, of course, an icon, Sherri Shepherd was definitely the most excited. And since she was sitting right next to Prince at the famous View table, she looked super nervous. Right away, Shepherd said, "Hey Prince, could you just say, Sherri, I love you?" He did, and they hugged, and that seemed like a very sweet moment, but then things got incredibly awkward. Sherri then said to Prince, "You don't understand, Prince. I've wanted to make love to you for my entire life." Prince felt extremely uncomfortable. His eyes went like really wide. He kind of like comically backed away from the host, but he actually left the set for good. He basically said, "Girl, get somebody else to do it." Number 10, last but not least on my list, is Rita Ora. Now, Rita Ora walked out of an AP interview after the reporter asked her about her ex-boyfriend and musical collaborator Calvin Harris. The interviewer said, "There's been a lot of rumors about Calvin Harris not releasing some of your stuff." Ora shut it down. She said, "Thank you, bye-bye," and she replied saying that while walking away. Now, it's alleged that when she split with Calvin Harris, there were rumors that she cheated on him, that he refused to allow the album to be released because he produced it, basically completely sabotaging her career and ruining all of the momentum she had made at that time, which is why the interviewer asked her that question in the first place. So it didn't end well.
Recently, we've had a pretty remarkable meltdown from Kanye West. The rapper turned designer turned US presidential candidate turned Yahtzee with an N has been crashing out online. Admittedly, for a few years, but it picked up in 2025 after the Grammys. The Grammys this year is where Ye's wife Bianca was nude with mesh. Obviously, there was lots of pushback because of this fashion choice that eventually spurred on the latest Kanye West social media rant. Parts of the rant were in support of his wife and her fashion choices, but there were other things in there as well. Lots of hateful words, mainly directed at the Jewish population. He also tweeted in support of people like Diddy and against those that have come forward in the Me Too movement. Essentially, he was tweeting whatever came to mind. Most notably, he tweeted out a photo of a white t-shirt with a well-known Yahtzee with an N hate symbol on it and said that he would never sell something like that because his followers might get hurt if they wear it in public. So not because that symbol is a mark of hatred, at least in the way that Kanye was using it, not in its original context of course, but because the people that would want to wear it hatefully might get hurt. Anyways, literally, guess what he started selling shortly after that? You'll never get it. The very same t-shirt. He took out an ad during the Super Bowl, aka like the most watched sports event in the US, and advertised his website, but when people went there, the only item for sale was the shirt he said he would never sell. The ad itself was also quite strange. It was filmed on his phone, which was similar to what he did last year, except last year he filmed from his car and the site was full of normal clothes and shoes, whereas this year he filmed from seemingly his dentist office right after a procedure, and the site led to the one terrible t-shirt. Kanye's Twitter rant eventually morphed into him literally tweeting out explicit videos, links to them, which is interesting considering a couple years ago he was calling for the site to remove all of that stuff and that Jesus saves. It was after this that he deactivated his account for the first time. He returned shortly after with more offensive and erratic tweets. Now, listen, I don't really think that Kanye is humiliated by his outbursts at all, but he should be. His hate-filled remarks have no place anywhere, and it's truly amazing how in just a couple years he went from preaching about the Lord to claiming to be him. But back when the idea of going viral was still kind of a new thing, Christian Bale had a meltdown that grew so popular it was people's ringtones. So let's set the scene. Bale is working on Terminator Salvation, or T4. He's in the middle of a scene and the cinematographer walks into the background of a shot right across Bale's sightline. Bale proceeds to crash out about this. The video of this moment was never released if there was any, but there was audio, and honestly, the video's not really needed. You can hear how mad the actor is. After being released online, the audio quickly spread to every inch of the internet. It featured plenty of explicit language, enough to get cancelled by today's standards for sure. He called the cinematographer unprofessional multiple times, threatened to quit, the whole 9 yards. Bale yelled that he wouldn't go around during a scene ripping the set apart, so why should the cinematographer be disrespecting the actor's space like this too? In the end, the rant had more of an effect on Terminator Salvation than it did Bale's career. People obviously weren't happy with how Bale treated the cinematographer, but for the most part, it was just kind of the movie that flopped. People were already on the fence about T4, and the rant just made people want to see it less. Bale ended up issuing a public apology, saying he was out of order beyond belief, he makes no excuses for it, there is nobody that has heard the tape that has been hit harder than him, and saying that he sometimes gets so lost in a role that he does lose himself a bit. Shortly after this, Bale went on to star in the final installment of the Dark Knight trilogy, and the on-set rant turned into a minor hiccup in the actor's journey and a fun fact that you would hear about in a video like this. The on-set meltdown nearly destroyed his career at the time, but then, you know, Batman came back around, and it's amazing what a good acting performance can do for someone's reputation. Hugh Grant was called out online after the reason for his on-set meltdown on the Dungeons & Dragons film came to light. The British actor apparently lost it on a woman who was simply there to chaperone the young star of the movie. He had thought that she was someone who was more familiar with movie sets, like an executive or someone like that. I mean, that doesn't really warrant the response that he apparently had. Grant said that he had lost his temper and compared himself to Christian Bale's infamous 2009 incident. He shared all this in an interview with Total Film magazine. Apparently, it also happened on the first day of filming. He said that he ended up doing a lot of groveling once he realized the error of his ways and that the woman was actually very nice. Unfortunately, this outburst news was not exactly a surprise to a lot of people that have followed Grant's career through the years. He gained a rep for being very difficult on set. In 2012, TV host and actor Jon Stewart claimed that Grant's on-set behavior wasn't great, saying the actor would never be welcomed back on the show that he had been working for at the time. He also said that Grant was giving everyone grief the whole time. Hugh Grant appeared to have taken a break from acting early in his career, but according to the actor, that was not on purpose. Apparently, his behavior on the movie set, Did You Hear About the Morgans, caused opportunities to dry up for him, and that's not me saying that, it's him. He pinpointed this flick as the moment his career took a pause, claiming that Hollywood gave me up because I made such a massive turkey with that film with Sarah Jessica Parker. Whether I wanted to or not after that, the days of being a very well-paid leading man were suddenly gone overnight. People are also speculating that Grant is the person behind an on-set story from Rebecca Ferguson told early last year. The actress shared that she was once screamed at by a co-star on set to the point of tears. To be clear, Ferguson has never actually named the person that she was talking about. She made it clear that she wanted people to focus less on that and more on the message that she was trying to convey. The Sparks Notes version of that is that you need to know how to stand up for yourself. But still, the internet loves drama and began combing through her past projects trying to find the actor. Due to his past on-set behavior, when people saw that Hugh Grant starred in Florence Foster Jenkins with her, he became suspect number one. It's like a year later though, and there hasn't been any confirmation that the yeller was in fact Hugh Grant. Though the actor himself has said that Renee Zellweger is one of the few actresses that he hasn't fallen out with, so there's that. Hailey Bieber was called out by a former restaurant host on TikTok for being not nice, leading to the star issuing a public apology. Back in 2020, TikToker Julia Carol Ann started rating celebrities that she had interacted with during her time at an upscale, unspecified New York restaurant. Using a 1 to 10 schedule, she would share why certain people ranked the way that they did. Hailey Bieber received a 3.5 out of 10. Julia claimed that she had interacted with the model multiple times and none of them were great. She said that she wasn't trying to be a hater and wanted to like the star, but the score speaks for itself. It's not clear exactly what Bieber might have done to receive this score, but it's clear that she wasn't proud of her past actions when she actually found and responded to this video. The model left a comment apologizing for her behavior that read, "Just came across this video and wanted to say so sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude, that's not ever my intention." She went on to say that she was glad that she was called out and held accountable for her behavior so she can do better in the future. She also said that she hoped the pair could someday meet in person so she could apologize face to face. Carol Ann did respond saying that she hopes for the same and that she also appreciated Bieber taking accountability for her actions. The precise words were calling her an accountability queen. Despite Bieber apologizing, people still attacked her online. She's one of those people on the internet that people just do not like and will take any opportunity to go after. Sometimes it's warranted, other times it's not, in my opinion anyways. Anyway, the point is she receives a lot of hate online pretty consistently, and that can take a toll mentally. She gave fans an inside look at how it all affects her in a series posted to her YouTube channel featuring psychiatrist Dr. Jessica Clemens. She directly addressed the previously mentioned TikTok, saying that seeing the video really upset her. She explained that at varying points, presumably including that of when she met the hostess, she was going through a lot of emotional lows and interacting with anyone was difficult. She did clarify that she knows that that doesn't excuse her negative behavior. The model shared that she actually didn't even remember meeting Carol Ann, but she still regretted her actions and wants to strive to do better. While on a walk back to her vehicle recently, Recently, Oprah was ambushed by a paparazzi with various questions about her recent involvement in the US presidential election. For those not aware of the situation, Oprah has been accused of being paid $1 million to appear at an event supporting Kamala Harris's campaign. TMZ obtained the exclusive video of this impromptu Oprah interview. It was quick and clear to viewers that Oprah did not want to engage, giving short answers and telling them multiple times that she wasn't going to answer their questions. The first question was about what Oprah thought of the election results, and her answer was sweet but firm in that she didn't want to discuss the matter. However, you can see her demeanor change when the cameraman presses on anyways, asking if it was true that she was paid to endorse Harris. Oprah spoke very clearly when she said that that wasn't true and that she was paid nothing ever. As the pop continued to ask various questions, Oprah got in her car, and as the door closed, it was clear the impromptu interview was over. But paid endorsement accusations aren't the only ones giving the talk show host grief right now. People eagerly await to see if Oprah will publicly comment on the situation with Diddy and everything that people are accusing her of providing the victims to the freak-offs, to having a connecting secret underground tunnel system within the rapper's home. There are all sorts of outlandish theories out there. The reason Oprah has found her name attached to Diddy in the headlines is because people noticed how comfortable she appeared with the rapper in party snapshots. As mentioned, Sean Diddy Combs is in some serious trouble right now after multiple people have stepped forward accusing him of engaging with them without consent, forcing people to consume things they don't want to, filming compromising situations, and then later using that footage as blackmail for people, and just generally being a really awful person, and definitely not the kind of guy you'd want your name attached to, especially not if you are someone as famous as Oprah, the kind of personality that has established themselves over the years as someone in firm support of the movement and amplifying victims' voices. Now, coming back to bite Oprah are all the pictures of her partying with Sean Diddy Combs at events he's hosted and others hosted by third parties. Here's the thing though, many big Hollywood names have appeared on a Diddy guest list, but not everyone has been a guest at a freak-off, which are the parties that everyone really has a problem with. Diddy was known as the party host in the 2000s. He hosted massive birthday parties, the white attire parties, wild after parties. The bashes were known for being over the top and expensive and extravagant, and everyone wanting to be there. A Diddy birthday invite was once a VHS featuring a dozen celebrities personally inviting the viewer, including Oprah actually. Another invite featured a literal golden ticket. It was a status symbol to be around that much wealth. The main parties were apparently often pretty standard as far as parties go. Allegedly, it was the Diddy after parties that were the freak-offs. Many news sites report that by the time a party descended into a freak-off, the famous faces would have already left. Like anything, there are always rumors online about various celebrities being caught at the events, like Oprah. But people aren't just accusing Oprah of attending freak-offs, but also helping put them on. Some sites even claiming she provided the victims. They claim that one way she would have brought people over is via an underground secret tunnel system connecting Oprah's home to Diddy's. Rumors of a tunnel system below Oprah's home have been around for years, but with all the Diddy drama lately, that rumor's being dug up again. Some TikTok users even claim to have access to and explore abandoned Oprah mansions. The tunnel situation really caught fire when one woman claimed that not only was Oprah a key player, but that she had the address to a tunnel entrance. Adria English filed a lawsuit against Diddy, claiming she worked for Combs at the Hamptons and Miami parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claims she was also forced to engage in actions she didn't want to do. She claims she was told by Diddy that in exchange for her actions, he would help her and her then boyfriend break into the entertainment world in their respective industries, music and modeling. English alleges that he never kept up his end of the bargain, and now she is suing Diddy and those deemed his co-conspirators for $50 billion. Adria English did have legal representation, but they have since parted ways. One of the lawyers claimed that English was disrespectful and self-destructive, making it impossible to continue representing her. However, the legal team did say that they never lost faith in her case, just in her. To which English allegedly responded with, "I am the client, you work for me." How does this tie back to Oprah? A major point of conflict between English and her legal team was that they requested that English not speak to any form of media, and soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media. And that interview made its way around TikTok gossip pages and conspiracy pages. English made the bombshell claim that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She also made the bold statement, she sees what's going on because she's a participant. and there appears to be a shortcut in the video, so it's unclear if her next statement came right after this line or if the video was edited, but the next words Adria English spoke in the video are, "I ain't gonna say allegedly, sue me." As of right now, no credible news site has confirmed that, or that a tunnel system exists under any of Oprah's properties, or that she was involved with or helped Diddy or anyone else with something like this. I do not wish to discredit Adria English, just clarify that the information she has shared hasn't been officially confirmed or fact-checked by a credible news site yet. Oprah has made little to no comment on the Diddy situation, but maybe it'll take a year until she does speak on the issue. That is what happened back in 2013 regarding her 2011-2012 nervous breakdown. In 2013, the talk show host admitted that the rumors circulating from the year before about how she was having a nervous breakdown were 100% true. She shared all this and more in an interview with Access Hollywood. Let's set that scene. Oprah is/was, if not the biggest talk show host back in 2011, so big that she could launch her own network. It was called the Oprah Winfrey Network, or OWN. What was supposed to be the start of a prosperous new chapter didn't really go according to plan. The network apparently struggled when it debuted, it struggled to take off, and it was struggling to stay up, to the point where Oprah started to suffer a nervous breakdown. The wind of this when it was happening, it was in all the headlines, but Oprah kept to herself about it until a year later when she admitted it was all true. The talk show host shared that her breakdown was literally happening in the middle of her struggling network, and I do mean literally. She shared the moment she realized that she was breaking down when she was in the middle of doing voiceovers. She said, "I remember closing my eyes in between each page because looking at the page and the words at the same time was too much stimulation for my brain." She also shared that she started noticing other symptoms when she was interviewing Jason Russell in 2012. Their chat was all about his public breakdown, which included him running unclothed in the streets. Oprah never got to that point, let me assure you, but she did say that talking to Russell, hearing about his lived experience, his symptoms, clued her into the fact that she could relate and was experiencing some of them. Oprah explained in the Access Hollywood interview, "In the beginning, it was just sort of speeding and a kind of numbness and going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing." She also said she told herself, "All right, if I don't calm down, I'm gonna be in serious trouble." The talk show host acknowledged that she had worn herself thin and reached a breaking point, a point where she just couldn't handle any more stimulation. Oprah was always one to tell people to push through hard times and hold on to their dreams, and this situation was testing her ability to do just that. While her new network wasn't exactly tanking, it was doing poorly enough that it just wasn't where Oprah wanted it to be, and it could be considered a failure. The media was having a grand old time writing about the network's failure, which only made the wound hurt more. About this, Oprah had said, "Nobody was more surprised than I was about that." She then went on to talk about how this was the moment she realized that she needed to hunker down because, as she believes, there is no such thing as failure. She said that failure is just God telling you to move in another direction. Slowly but surely, the network started seeing their ratings improve to the point where Oprah stopped believing that she should be worried. The experience let her, in her words, walk that walk and not just talk it about following and sticking with your dreams.
Number 10. Will Smith. Now, if it was just the whole Oscars thing that tainted his image, I would leave him alone and just ignore the situation. But this man is humiliated on almost a daily basis now, thanks to his wife, partner thingy, Jada Pinkett Smith. This woman shares something new about her relationship every other day of the week. She dominated the front page media for a solid 4 or 5 months out of this year alone. I'll be honest, it went by very fast, so I just don't remember much. What I do remember is the photos of Will Smith just looking defeated, and he's usually sharing the same space as Jada. Jada literally looks like a Disney villain every time a camera is pointed at her face, like she knows where the king's missing daughter is, but she's not gonna tell anyone until she gets that crown. Before releasing a tell-all book revealing even more dirty secrets, she just took the hamper out and dumped it on the dining room table. I swear, every time this woman watches Will Smith wipe his nose, she has to do a breakfast television appearance the next day. This man may have slapped Chris Rock on live TV, sure, but that is nothing compared to the absolute mental damage that woman does to him constantly. I have never seen a woman share more about her marriage despite the absolute trash that marriage contains. She told the world that Tupac proposed to her from prison. She said she's been separated from Will for 7 years. She talks about how many times she's done it with Will Smith and just so much more. that poor man. Number 9, Kendall Jenner. Members of the Kardashian family will make a few appearances on this list. Kendall has been called out for using Photoshop in one of her photos online a few times, but there was just the most obvious Photoshop fail of all time after she posted a photo of herself in a bikini where she appears to be turning into a werewolf. Her fingers on her right hand are melting down into a straight line, making it look like she's morphing before our very eyes. Her sister Kim called her out on social media for the flub, and so did the rest of the internet. But there are plenty of examples of Kardashians being caught in a lie or indulging in a moment, but the best part of this entire thing was that she doubled down by posting a photo of her normal hands slumped down so that people could see the difference. On top of that flub, she was also humiliated further when a clip from that show, The Kardashians, showed Kendall attempting to chop some cucumbers, and she clearly doesn't know how to do it. Like, someone's been making her cucumbers since she was 3. Number 8, Zac Efron. Zac rose to fame as a Disney darling, playing the lead role of Troy Bolton in High School Musical. Since his Disney days, Zac has lent his voice and face to several projects, but the red carpet event that kinda tainted his image for the animated Dr. Seuss movie The Lorax. Zac, who voiced the main character of the movie, was walking the red carpet when he suddenly handed his assistant something from his pocket. As he handed them the product, something fell out of his pocket and onto the ground. And that something is a word that I'm not allowed to say online, so let's call them love tubes. Zac's love tube wrapper was flat on the red carpet right there for the world to see. He quickly picked it up, but the damage had already been done. In the first interview following the incident, the interviewer asked Zac if anything unplanned had happened during his walk. He then explained that it was a complete accident, there was no pre-show pocket check that could have prevented it. Well, Illumination didn't like that excuse, and they didn't seem to like their main star being associated with such adult projects, so when that Lorax sequel came out, they were planning to replace Zac with another actor. But I guess whoever they picked wasn't famous enough because that project got canned, and Zac found work in Baywatch. Good for you, buddy. Number 7, Chris Evans. As many of us know, double checking your work is important, especially when the destination is the public. Now, this was a lesson that Chris Evans, aka Captain America himself, had to learn the hard way. A little while back, Chris posted a screen video to his Instagram, but forgot to actually crop the video out. So, as it finished, fans were greeted to a brief glimpse of Chris's Long John Silver. The video was quickly taken down by all accounts. This seems like something that he did not want to post online. He was quiet for a bit, but even his Marvel co-star started throwing him a roaster too. Mark Ruffalo tweeted that since Donald Trump was in office at the time, that there was nothing that Chris could do to embarrass himself. Chris only acknowledged the incident in a brief post a few weeks later, telling people that now that he had their attention, they should go vote on November 3rd. That's one way to get the word of mouth going, Hey, Chris Evans just showed me his dingling. Vote Biden! Of all the humiliating moments on this list, this should have been one of the bigger ones, but Chris received little to no flack for the accident. Even Marvel didn't care, and they care about everything. Number 6, Elon Musk. Elon is one of the most important men in the world, being the CEO of not only Tesla, but Twitter, aka X. A few years ago, Elon revealed a new design for an electric truck that looked sleek and metallic called the Cybertruck. The demonstration took place in front of a massive crowd where Elon revealed the truck, and he confidently told them that his truck was incredibly strong, nearly impossible to break the windows or damage the structural integrity in any way, shape, or form. So a massive metal ball was tossed at its windows, and guess what? It broke. The ball kinda stayed there for a second before revealing a massive hole, but as Elon said, it didn't go through the windows, so that's a bonus. The audience found this amusing, and Elon laughed the whole thing off, but following the event, he discovered the incident was to blame on the order in which it was tested. During the tests before the presentation, a sledgehammer was swung at its doors and seemed to hold up pretty well. However, the hammer hit the truck in a sweet spot because a small little crack formed in the corner of the window. When the demo took place, the force made the crack massive and it just broke. It's nice to know what happened, but it doesn't change the fact that his near indestructible truck couldn't even handle a sledgehammer swing. Come on, bro, it's lame. Number 5, Kendall Jenner. Again! Sponsored brand deals can mean a lot of money for the people involved. Just look at every cologne on the planet. They hire someone to stand on a beach for 30 seconds and they make $1 million. Around 2017, Kendall decided to partner with the soda brand Pepsi to create a commercial that would act as both an ad and a PSA against hatred. The commercial consisted of hundreds of people from different parts of the world drinking Pepsi, and eventually everyone comes together on the streets of what appears to be New York. Kendall looks to the crowd, wipes off her makeup and follows suit. The cringy moment comes when the crowd of people appear to be at a standoff with the police, and Kendall walks through them and just hands an officer a can of Pepsi. He sips it, crowd cheers, they swarm the cops who are suddenly cool with everything that's going on. Life's great. This ad was meant to be a political statement following the passing of several African American men and women in the United States, aiming to bring people together, which it did, but for the wrong reasons. The world collectively just cringed at this absolute mess, forcing Kendall to drop an apology video on that season's premiere of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She may have apologized, but we will never forget the weirdest commercial of all time. Number 4, Milli Vanilli. In 1989, the duo of Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus were on the top of the world. A fairly unknown crew had quickly rise to number 2 on the Billboard 100 list. They began performing their hit song in front of thousands of fans across the world, and people were hooked until very shortly into their rise to fame, they were performing in front of 80,000 people at a theme park in Bristol, Connecticut. They took the stage with their well-known dance moves and started singing, but when the chorus came in, it stayed. It repeated over and over again on a busted loop. The track that they had been lip-syncing to was trash, and the truth had been revealed. Not only did they not sing a single note of their hit song, Girl You Know It's True, but the song itself was actually stolen from another group a few years prior. Milli Vanilli were a disgrace, and what was worse is that only a few days before they were exposed to the world, they had won an award for the tune and they had to give it back. Ow! Number 3, Ellen DeGeneres. When Dakota Johnson was a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres Show in 2019, she took a very subtle and pulled back approach to addressing an issue with the host. Ellen asked Johnson when her birthday was, and then claimed that she had never received an invitation for the party. The 50 Shades star quickly smiled, revealed that she actually had in fact extended that invitation, but apparently Ellen did not reply. Ellen was baffled and asked Dakota if she was sure. There was no possible way, right? And Dakota said, ask literally anyone here, specifically your producer Jonathan. Following the comment, Ellen is just searching the room for Jonathan with an angry expression on her face, which is understandable because she got outed as a liar on her own show. Unfortunately for Ellen, that wouldn't be the last time, as a couple months later, a lot of stories and tweets and rumors started circulating about Ellen mistreating her staff, and eventually the show got canceled. So looks like Dakota delivered 50 Shades of oops. That sucks. Number 2, Justin Bieber. In 2015, Justin was performing on the Today Show, debuting his new song, What Do You Mean? During his performance, he got super excited and started dancing and singing his track, you know, as one does. But moments later, he got caught on air dissing the camera operator, saying that he might as well not dance since they don't even move an inch. He said next time he won't dance because it's just a waste of effort, and he was visibly annoyed as he ended his time on the show. Fans from Justin were quick to question his aggression in the moment. Before being cut off by the commercial break, Justin started to rant about what he even does this for, and if they're just gonna ignore him and cut him off, then what's the point? Not long after this on-air mishap, Justin announced that he was taking a break from music. The two seemed to be unrelated, but you never know. Embarrassment's a pretty big deal. Maybe he had some real regrets when it comes to scolding the cameraman that did nothing to you before that, and out of all the mistreatment scandals surrounding Justin Bieber, this one is honestly just the silliest and pretty embarrassing. When Justin appeared on the set of CSI, he actually upset an entire crew with his behavior, according to several people who were on that show. Justin put his fist through a cake that was on the craft service table. He dismissed the claims as baseless, but a lot of people saw him do that, so just go into your room and be quiet, Justin. Just be quiet. Number 1, Tom Cruise. Matt Lauer is not just a terrible man who turned out to be a creepy. He was once a popular talk show host in the early 2000s. During an interview with Tom Cruise in 2005, the topic of scientific beliefs came up that quickly sent Tom into a rant about psychiatry. Somehow the topic got into Ritalian and pseudosciences. I don't know, Tom yelled at Matt about knowing more stuff about him, like he had some inside information that he was secretly a therapist. If someone gave Tom Cruise a therapy license, quit your job. The interview came at the height of Tom's very public descent into chaotic badness, becoming very famous for his outlandish beliefs and his wish to push them onto other people. The highlight of this interview, though, comes when Cruise was asked about his previous criticism of Brooke Shields, who took anti-sad time pills, to which he responded by calling her a glib. I looked up the definition. That means fluent and voluble, but insecure and shallow. That's not insulting. Number 10, Rose McGowan. So let's talk about the show Charmed for a second, a solid series that was on air for basically 10 years. The series followed 3 sisters that discover they are descendants of a long line of good female witches and are destined to fight against the forces of evil. Yes, it was a very fun show. However, just because you play sisters on set does not mean that you're always going to be close in real life. Rose McGowan Cowan and Alyssa Milano had a very public altercation that resulted in a little incident on set being shared with the world. Rose claimed that Alyssa threw a fit in front of the crew, yelling, "They don't pay me enough to do this stuff," only she didn't say stuff. She called Alyssa's behavior appalling, claiming she cried every time that the show got renewed for another season because it just meant more time on a toxic set. Alyssa never shared her comments on the situation, confirming what she was being accused of. Number 9. Richard Gere. Richard Gere is one of those actors that doesn't really act. Sometimes people just get hired for films because they have a face for it or the style. For Richard, he did not have enough class and moxie to keep a handle on his role in the film Lords of the Flatbush. He was casted to star line Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and according to Sly, the two didn't get along at all. Their beef was strong and long-lasting throughout the entire production until it finally came to a head one day when Richard was a bit too into one scene and he actually grabbed Sylvester pretty aggressively by the collar. When Sly told him to lay off, he laid in instead. The scene was being filmed on Coney Island, and when the actors took a minute to take a break, they tried to break each other. Sly was eating a hot dog alone in his car, which sounds pretty peaceful, and suddenly Richard stormed in, joined him with half of a chicken dripping in mustard, and despite his warnings about the mustard, seriously, it dripped all over his pants. In true Rocky fashion, he elbowed Richard in the face, threw him out of his car, and the altercation resulted in Richard being fired from the project. Oh no, they had to decide between Richard Gere and Rocky. I wonder how quick that decision was. Number 8. Selma Blair. It's funny that this entry involves Charlie Sheen getting a woman fired when he himself has been fired from so many projects because of, well, several reasons. After being fired from 2.5 Men, Sheen returned to the acting world, headlining his own show called Anger Management. It premiered in 2012 with cast featuring Hellboy alumni Selma Blair playing his colleague and friend with benefits on the show. However, Sheen's terrible behavior continued to haunt him from his 2.5 Men days. Blair was very vocal on her problems with Charlie, especially his messy work ethic. Charlie heard and he was having none of that, so he threatened to quit the show if Blair was going to remain a part of the cast. Sheen got his way and Blair was let go after starring in 54 episodes. The show didn't last long though. Who would have guessed that a messy actor being the lead was a bad idea? It got cancelled in 2014. Next up, 7. Shannen Doherty. Unfortunately for Shannen Doherty, she gained quite the reputation in Hollywood for being fired due to issues with her co-stars. She may or may not be making another appearance on this list. Who knows? Guess you'll have to stick around to find out. For the first entry, we're going to look back to the very popular series teen drama 90210, a series following the lives of the Walsh family as they moved from Minneapolis to Beverly Hills. Doherty played the character Brenda Walsh, with her character eventually befriending several students at Beverly Hills High, including Donna Martin, played by Tori Spelling. The series was a hit after its initial season, however, with increased popularity came massive egos. Doherty and Spelling started clashing on set constantly, adding additional drama to the production team that really just didn't need to be there. Considering Tori's father, Aaron Spelling, was the producer on the show, it's pretty simple to piece together what happened. Doherty claimed that she was officially let go for having a haircut that messed up the continuity of the show, but a wig could have fixed that, so better believe Tori Spelling told her papa to boot her from the series. Number 6. Edward Norton. As we all know, Edward Norton didn't last long as the Incredible Hulk in the MCU, only being in one movie in 2008. By the way, I've read some of the comments, and no, Edward Norton was not the first person to play the Hulk on screen. The honor goes to Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby from the original series, and don't you dare get me started on Eric Bana, looking like he's farting every time he turns into the Hulk. The 2008 film was a success, but not a massive box office goat. The studio were at odds and they wanted to keep using the Hulk and incorporate him into the Avengers, but Edward Norton was becoming increasingly difficult to work with. When he was contacted to keep playing the character, he demanded more money from the studio. However, he was already on thin ice following his time filming The Incredible Hulk. While not some wild on-set meltdown, Norton did make some pretty odd choices. For instance, as part of his contract, he was allowed to rewrite the script as much as he wanted, but it still needed to be approved. So he wrote new scripts over and over again until we got the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie with some of Ed's ideas baked into the final script. Kevin Feige claims that the choice to part ways with Ed was not based on money, but instead on Marvel just wishing to hire an actor that embodies the creative and collaboration side of their talented members. Essentially, he was like, Mark Ruffalo's nicer than you and he doesn't write his scripts, so bye-bye. This ended up being a great decision on both parts though, because Mark Ruffalo is fantastic as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and Edward went on to make several high-quality films, including a few collaborations with Wes Anderson. Moonrise Kingdom would not have been the same without Edward Norton as Scoutmaster Ward. Number 5. Anne Hathaway. So a fun fact that I was unaware of until today, Anne Hathaway was almost a secondary lead in one of the most universally loved Seth Rogen movies of all time, Knocked Up from 2007, 7 follows Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl as they prepare for the arrival of an unplanned baby after a one-night stand. The cast was packed with stellar comedians like Paul Rudd, Jonah Hill, Leslie Mann, so many more, and the cast almost featured an up-and-coming actor at the time, Anne Hathaway. Anne is famous these days for roles in movies like Princess Diary, Interstellar, and Ocean's 8. These days, she's considered to be at the top of the A-list. In 2013, she even took home her first Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Now, before this though, she actually agreed to be in Knocked Up because she thought the script was great and that Seth Rogen, is Seth Rogen. You work with him every chance you can. However, she eventually decided not to participate in the film after one issue with the script became cause for concern. The scene in question was one of the final moments in the film, which for those of you who have seen the movie know is pretty graphic. The birthing scene in Knocked Up ended up being a combination of Katherine acting and some close-up clips of her cookie. Anne read that part and decided that her first role in a major comedy movie should maybe be something else. Although it was confirmed that it was not going to be her bits and bobs on display, she has a no birthday suit clause. It worked out for everyone though, because Katherine did a great job despite hating the set apparently, and Anne Hathaway is one of the biggest movie stars to date, so good for her. Number 4, Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper is one of the groundbreaking actors and directors from the 1960s and 70s New Hollywood, eventually finding his niche in the early 90s, playing villains in movies like Speed, Waterworld, and the live-action Mario Brothers movie, where he plays Bowser. Yes, that exists. No, it's not good. So, it came as no surprise when he was casted to play Kristoff, the all-powerful TV producer controlling Truman Burbank's life in the movie The Truman Show. The cast was incredible and included Hollywood heavyweight Jim Carrey as the titular Truman. Anyone with a brain cell would have been excited to be a part of this film, still considered to be one of his best dramatic performances. However, 2 days into filming his scenes for Kristoff, which were only expected to take about 10 days to film, Hopper was unceremoniously let go from the set. Apparently, Dennis had a contract in place with producer Scott Rudin that he would be fired should his work be unsatisfactory. He must have been pretty bad in the role, as the director Peter Weir has been described as extremely reluctant to ever remove an actor from a movie. Reports later surfaced that Hopper was basically half asleep while playing the character, and while Kristoff wasn't written to be like a manic man or anything, he did require some effort to be properly pulled off. Ultimately, Ed Harris stepped in to play the role after production had been desperately trying to replace Dennis to avoid having the film be shut down entirely. Thankfully, that never happened, and The Truman Show has gone on to be one of the most depressingly heartfelt Jim Carrey performances ever. Oh, and Ed actually got nominated for an Oscar, so sorry Dennis, looks like it was a good move. Number 3, Jean-Claude Van Damme. The Belgian actor Jean-Claude Van Damme was just on the verge of coming into his own career as the Muscles from Brussels when he landed a job opposite of Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1987's action flick Predator. This sounded like the perfect casting choice. Jean would have worked alongside the likes of Carl Weathers and Jesse Ventura. While this may have turned out cool, the reality was that Jean wasn't casted to play one of the Marines at all. Instead, he was casted to play the titular Predator himself. The special effects artists behind the project called the experience with Jean as a hilarious comedy of errors, in which no party knew exactly what the other was expecting. Apparently, nobody actually told him that the role was basically just a glorified stuntman. They were prepared to direct him to just hop around like a frog, but Jean was obviously confused and upset with that choice. According to him, he had just gotten off the boat and was under the impression that he was going to be showcasing his martial arts skills to the world, but instead he was reduced to a massive, slow-moving alien with dreadlocks. To the surprise of absolutely nobody, Van Damme was furious and dispirited about spending the entire movie cooped up in a clunky and often ridiculous-looking suit, and he was ultimately fired and replaced with Kevin Peter Hall. The idea that he was just on set being like, I can barely move in this thing, it makes me so happy. Number 2, Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to the success of the sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's a show following Will as the titular prince, living with a wealthy family in Bel-Air surrounded by cousins, uncles, and of course Aunt Vivian. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Witten, but as a lot of people know, she was recasted after an on-set feud with Will Smith went a little bit too far. According to Will, Janet viewed him as an antagonist in her life. She had been in the business for years, and suddenly Will Smith popped into her life, and she had a tinge of jealousy towards him because he got into town, got a gig. Well, hey, that's what happens when you're good. She was trying to convince the producers to give her character more screen time and allow her to breathe on camera, but they said no because it wasn't the Aunt Viv show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she would be asked to sit out the rest of the series and was replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who is Aunt Viv. Number 1, Thomas Gibson. Thomas made a name for himself, starring as one of the leads of the series Criminal Minds. He was on the show for a few years, and in that time he made quite a few problems for those unfortunate enough to be staff members of the series. There were a few issues over the years that would have warranted some action, like screaming at producers and writers for not doing a good job. But the incident that got him kicked off of the show for good involved, well, a kick. In 2016, Thomas was swiftly fired from the series after an incident with a writer named Virgil Williams. An internal investigation revealed that Thomas kicked Virgil one day during production of an episode that Gibson was actually directing. And as I said, this isn't the first incident on set that really should have resulted in some kind of punishment, because 3 years earlier, in 2013, he pleaded no contest to no juice related reckless driving after being arrested under suspicion of DUI, and 3 years before that, he allegedly shoved an assistant director, Ian Wolfe, during a late night location scene. That led to the studio ordering Gibson to take 8 hours of anger management. According to most people on the set, Thomas was a wild card. Some days he was friendly and accommodating, and the next he went ballistic. Those are celebrities who were fired after a meltdown. Please leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video, follow our channel for more celebrity content every day, and thank you. Number 10, Mike Tyson. So I had trouble landing on just one interview to mention when it comes to this man. He is someone who seems to just bounce back after every single heinous thing he's done. So we're gonna run through a few of them. The first time Mike really hurt his career was in the 80s, and it wasn't even something he said. He was doing an interview with his then girlfriend Robin Gibbs. When the topic of Mike's behavior came up, she said herself that Mike had an extremely volatile temper. Recent reports had also surfaced of Mike getting loud and physical with Robin, something she seemingly confirmed, while Mike just stared at the interviewer the entire time, giving him an evil look. Now that was one of the first little notches on his belt. That wasn't really a meltdown. As the years went by, more and more controversies came to light, and during a press tour for his latest bout in the early 2000s, he lashed out at a fan in the crowd, hurling a slew of insults and calling them the British word for cancer sticks. It starts with an F and it rhymes with maggot. The clip became viral overnight and placed his career in jeopardy, but he finally drove that nail into the coffin on CP24's Breakfast Television in 2014. After somehow maintaining enough relevance to get a one-man show, Mike was sitting down with host Nathan Downer to promote when the interview took a hard left and went from "So, what's the show about?" to "So, should you even be allowed on stage, you monster?" That's not what he actually said, but apparently that's what Mike Tyson heard, because he stopped answering questions and would instead hurl sarcastic insults. The F word is once again his favorite, and just throws it at him. I don't know if you've noticed, but Mike hasn't been on the news much since then, and probably for a good reason. Number 9, Paula Abdul. Q13 Fox News. In 2012, famous judge and British bad boy Simon Cowell decided to fire his fellow X Factor judge after she went on Fox News and made herself sound like a little bit of a fool. During an interview with Q13, things started out a little rocky thanks to some audio issues causing Paula to hear a station in Texas instead of their own. When they eventually got everything up and running, Paula was just as confusing as she was with the original issues. The interviewers were trying to ask her about her visit to Seattle, where Simon claims that the worst singers that he has ever encountered dwell. Instead of defending the city, Paula doubled down and agreed with Simon. It's not the statement though that landed her in the hot seat, it was actually just the way that she was speaking. Paula had always been a little bit animated in her life, using arms a lot when speaking to people, but she was particularly slurry and seemed like she was under the influence of something. This was just one of several interviews where Paula is noticeably woozy. Simon Cowell has actually claimed the only reason she was invited to host on the X Factor in the first place was to see if she would bring in the American Idol viewers, and when that didn't pan out, he realized the right move to make was to let her go because she's not great on television. Of course, Paula was mad about this and confronted Simon several times, only making that meltdown bigger and bigger. Number 8, Robert Downey Jr. Being a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe means a ton of interviews. Now, Robert had the fortune of playing Iron Man for 10 years, being featured in 11 movies. While doing press for his second round with the Avengers in 2015, he had the misfortune of speaking with a legendarily terrible interviewer, Krishnan Guru Murphy, on Channel 4. Now, I've talked about this guy in other videos for making Quentin Tarantino walk out of an interview, and he is making a return for something pretty similar. The interview is uncomfortable from the very beginning. Krishnan stumbles through his questions as quickly as he can, with Robert doing his best just to keep things smooth. Instead of asking questions about the movie though, Krishnan decided to probe Robert about his life in prison and with substance control issues. Now, at first, He's okay and answers the questions, but then Christian brings up his dad and asks if he feels that he escaped his dark past. Robert is visibly anxious and begins breathing pretty heavy to keep himself calm. He asks what they were doing there, and then the team said goodbye. He stood up and walked out of the room, and he said that Christian seemed nice, but things were getting just a little bit too Diane Sawyer for his taste. This was one of the most uncomfortable interview moments in Robert's career, and it's not even close to the worst one for Christian. Number 7, Sofia Vergara. Fans of the show Modern Family will recognize Sofia as Gloria, aka Manny's mom, who is just absolutely hilarious and heartwarming at the same time, even outside of Modern Family. Now, while speaking with Ellen in 2017 about her career and some new projects coming up, Ellen decided to play a game called English Word of the Day. Claiming to be learning Spanish with one word a day, she wished to teach Sofia one as well. Before the segment, Sofia is roasting Ellen for her dislike of cotton, but when Ellen asks if she wants to learn the English word with her, Sofia scoffs and is visibly annoyed, claiming that she speaks English very well. Ellen gives her the word flabbergasted and asks her to define what it means. Not only does she pronounce it correctly the first time, but she knew exactly what it meant. Ellen follows it up with discombobulated, which left Sofia confused and thinking pretty hard. Now, she butchered the word, and while she seemed to be taking things in stride, it turns out Sofia was so frustrated with participating in this game, as she is a bit self-conscious when it comes to her accent. A lot of people consider the segment to be a little bit racist and more cringe-inducing than fun. I've seen the clip. That's accurate. Number 6, Joaquin Phoenix. We understand a dedication to your craft, and Joaquin Phoenix is just a prime example. This dude's acting career has been going steady since he first appeared in the 1989 comedy Parenthood when he was in his teens. Now, while he is seen as one of the greatest actors in recent history, his reputation on set was a little tarnished thanks to a freak out while filming the 2018 solo flick Joker. He appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote the shoot when Jimmy plays a behind-the-scenes clip of Joaquin getting loud and angry at a man named Larry, and the constant whispering behind the cameras before dropping a few F-bombs and storming off this set. When the cameras came back to the studio, Joaquin was frozen in shock and clearly not expecting that clip to ever see the light of day. He is not having a good time. He explained that Larry was a cinematographer who teased Joaquin off set earlier in the day, calling him a diva and referring to him as Cher. In fact, if you're watching the clip and during the outbursts, you can actually hear him say, "You want to call me Cher? How is that an insult?" He then explained that there is a lot of pressure on set, especially in a closed space, like the apartment from the scene that they were filming. He apologized to the audience for having to see him behave like that, which, was met with applause. Because at the end of the day, he's a performer and no harm came from the outburst or the meltdown, and honestly, if Larry's cool with it, so are we. Number 5, Nicolas Cage. The most unhinged man in Hollywood history. One of the few people who somehow managed to star in billions of movies, but has barely seen or kept a cent of that money. During a press junket in 1990, Nick went on a talk show called Wogan to discuss his latest project, Wild at Heart. When the host Terry Wogan announced Nick Cage, he entered with karate kicks, a front flip, somersault. He threw wads of cash at the audience because, hey, he's Nick Cage, why not? And when he finally sat down, moments before the interview actually began, he asked if he could take his jacket off. He proceeds to take his jacket off and the shirt underneath of it, because if people thought Nick Cage was all together, they were proven wrong during this interview. Despite the content being relatively tamed, the entire time you can just see sweat glistening off of Nick's chest, because guess what? Wearing a leather jacket on your bare chest is beyond uncomfortable, especially when there are lights aimed at you. Now sure, it might look cool until you take it off and you just have a heat rash. Nick's always been unhinged, but this meltdown during this interview was truly unique. His behavior in the 90s was apparent and well documented thanks to him literally being in like 2 movies a year. Number 4, Christian Bale. Christian is a very versatile actor, physically and of course skill-wise. He's able to shrink and grow his physique seemingly at will. He's played everything from a skinny substance addict to Batman in 2008. Christian starred in the 3rd film of the Terminator franchise, Terminator Salvation, and while he was filming a scene, director of photography Shane Holbert apparently just moved into Christian's eyesight, and this caused Christian to snap out of character and into defense mode. The now infamous audio clip of Christian screaming at Shane to make matters worse, anyone trying to calm Christian down were met with an equally swift verbal lashing. While the cinematographer was just checking a light to make sure that it was in the right place, you know, like doing his job, Bale made it his mission to share his intense feelings with the entire crew. When the audio leaked, Bale apologized for his actions and told the world to praise the crew for their work. Now, while the movie turned out okay visually speaking, the project as a whole is remembered as a terrible Terminator movie, and he gets pretty uncomfortable when he talks about it on stage. Number 3, Paris Hilton. Paris is the originator of the phrase famous for being famous, because this woman made headlines many times over the years for a little bit of everything. In 2011, Paris appeared on ABC to discuss her career, her personal life, and the recent situations she had been dealing with involving stalkers. During the interview, she revealed a few things about her life that had previously been speculated, like the fact that she used a higher-pitched baby voice on the show Simple Life, but had a much deeper and serious tone in real life. But the conversation eventually ventures into uncharted waters. The interviewer asked Paris if she felt that her former friend and protege, Kim Kardashian, had overshadowed her in the eyes of the media. Paris says nothing, looks to her publicist, and goes to stand up. They almost wrapped the interview entirely, but eventually things simmered down and they were able to clear up the air. However, the moment stuck with fans of Hilton immediately and begged the question, why is she so uncomfortable talking about this? And it's because it's true. Well, it turns out the world answered the question for her, because Kim Kardashian's show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, made it big, and Paris Hilton's show was cancelled after one season. So, there you go. Number 2, Tom Cruise. Matt Lauer is not just a terrible person who turned out to be a creepy creepo. He was once a popular talk show host in the early 2000s. During an interview with Tom Cruise in 2005, the topic of his scientific beliefs came up that quickly sent Tom into a rant about psychiatry, and somehow the topic got into Ritalin and pseudosciences. I don't know, Tom yelled at Matt about knowing more than him about psychiatry, like he had some inside information that he was secretly a therapist, who knows. The interview came at the height of Tom's pretty public descent into chaotic badness, becoming very famous for his outlandish beliefs and his wish to push them onto other people. The highlight of the interview came when Cruise was asked about his previous criticisms of Brooke Shields taking anti-sad time pills, to which he responded by calling her a glib. I looked up the definition of that word, and it means fluent and voluble, but insincere and shallow. But this was only one of the several interviews from 2005 that I wanted to discuss today, especially with Tom Cruise. Good lord, that was a rough year for him. When he was with Katie Holmes, he was a nutcase. Just ask Oprah. I mean, ever since the mid-2000s, his career has mainly been Mission Impossible, with only a few small roles to fill the gaps here and there, not the Hollywood superstar that he was aiming to be. And at number 1, my favorite entry, Bobcat Goldthwait. Allow me to start the entry by doing an impression of Bobcat. Thank you. Bobcat may not be much of an actor these days, but in the 80s and 90s, this man was dominating the film and comedy scene. His zany brand of over-the-top, high-energy performance was so well received by any and all who saw him. I can still hear his voice echoing in my head whenever I think of Police Academy. In 1994, comedian Arsenio Hall invited his longtime buddy Bobcat onto his talk show, which unfortunately was in its final days on the air. When he heard the cancellation, Bobcat decided to send a message to the big brains that made the decision, because he spray painted the word Paramount on the wall behind him, throws furniture around, breaks TV screens, all the while Arsenio is just sitting back and laughing. When they returned from commercial, the set was in ruins, and despite that, Arsenio joked that he was like, the worst part is I have to pretend like I'm mad at him. Joke's on him, that wasn't the only talk show meltdown he partook in. A few years after this, Bobcat set a chair on fire on the Jay Leno show for no reason, just for fun. Like he was standing there just going, fire! He was fined over $3,000 and made to replace the chair. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed, he hasn't been asked to be on any talk shows recently.
From Britney Spears to Nicki Minaj, here are the worst celebrity meltdowns in history. First off, Miss Britney Spears. On February 16th, 2007, the Gimme More singer infamously shaved her head. Days later, she shocked the world by furiously attacking a paparazzo's car with an umbrella. The following July, the pop star offered up a bizarre explanation for her violent behavior. I was preparing my character for a role in a movie where the husband never plays his part, so they switch places accidentally, she wrote on her website. I take all my roles very seriously and got a little carried away. Unfortunately, I didn't get the part. But in her 2023 memoir, her opinion on the incident changed. She says, I'd been eyeballed so much growing up, up. I'd been looked up and down. I had people telling me what they thought of my body since I was a teenager. Shaving my head and acting out were ways of pushing back, Spears adds in the book. After Britney was put in a court-ordered conservatorship in 2008, granting her father and a lawyer control over all her financial and personal affairs, she says she was forbidden from keeping the new shaved look. Under the conservatorship, I was made to understand that those days were now over, she writes. I had to grow my hair out and get back into shape. I had to go to bed early and take whatever medication they told me to take. Our next celebrity meltdown involves Nothing Compares to You singer Sinead O'Connor. Sinead was performing on SNL when a brief moment destroyed her entire career. On October 3rd, 1992, O'Connor appeared on SNL to promote her new album, Am I Not Your Girl? For the second song of the evening, O'Connor had chosen to perform an a cappella version of Bob Marley's song War. Throughout the performance, she stared intently into the camera, and as she sang the final line, "We have confidence in the victory of good over evil," O'Connor held a photograph of the Pope directly in front of the camera, ripped it up, saying, "Fight the real enemy," before throwing the pieces to the floor. The SNL producers were not aware of O'Connor's plan. During the dress rehearsal, she had held up a picture of a child. Everybody at SNL apparently froze after the live performance, unsure how to react, and that the music producer Liz Welch went from jubilation to tears. The executive producer Lorne Michaels said the air went out of the studio and that he ordered that the applause sign should not be used. The audience remained silent and O'Connor returned to her dressing room where somebody found her talking to herself, quote, doing something between poetry and chanting. Our next celebrity meltdown involves Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey. On an episode of American Idol, the former show judges got into a curse word-filled fight. Minaj criticized Carey for being too harsh on a contestant, which the Vision of Love singer responded by saying, "I'm sorry, it's just that that's what I do, Nicki." The Anaconda rapper immediately fired back. "Oh, you're right. I'm sorry I can't help her," she said, tossing her seat behind her. "Maybe I should just get off the effing panel. Let me get off the panel." After leaving the room, Nicki was overheard shouting, "Shut the F up! Finish the show, I'm done." But that's not the only on-air meltdown Nicki Minaj has had. When accepting her VMA award for Best Music Video, Nicki made a dig at fellow performer Miley Cyrus. While thanking her pastor and other fans, Nicki said, "Back to this B-word who had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?" Speaking of on-air meltdowns, Hugh Grant had some rude things to say to Ellen while on her talk show. After she complimented her guest, calling him fantastic, smart, and all those things, Grant responded back by saying, "I wish I thought that about you." He also had some rude things to say about Julia Roberts while on the Oprah show. "Very big mouth. Literally, physically, she has a very big mouth. When I was kissing her, I was aware of a faint echo." Again, they would try to get Grant back on track during the interview, mentioning that Julia Roberts was a really good person, in which Grant responded by saying, "I wouldn't go that far." Hugh Grant would go on to admit that this current relationship with Roberts is not on the best of terms because of past comments. "I've probably made too many jokes about the size of her mouth. She might hate me by now." Michael Jackson seemed to have a meltdown after his infamous baby dangling incident. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here is the story. In 2002, Michael Jackson visited Berlin to accept an award for his philanthropic work on behalf of children, a Lifetime Bambi Entertainment Award. During his stay, the pop star dangled his 9-month-old son, nicknamed Blanket because his face was covered with a towel, over the balcony of the hotel he was staying in. It seemed that what the king of pop was trying to do was show his baby to the fans that had gathered outside his hotel, but the public's response was obviously completely opposite from what Jackson had expected. As soon as photos and videos of the incident were released to the public, the media started criticizing Michael's parenting skills and reckless behavior. Ringo Starr, a former member of the Beatles, got in a serious altercation with interviewer Sherry Hewson during a a live event, she said, he just sat down, said, "Okay then girls, what are we doing here? Shall we just get Paul McCartney out of the way?" This was live, by the way. Anyway, he carries on. "Let's get Paul McCartney out the way." "You want me to talk about Paul McCartney?" I said. "Well, no, you're here." And he said, "No, you don't. You want to talk about Paul McCartney." She continued. He was so angry. It was just so weird. I thought, why? Why? It was just a really weird thing. And then he said to the audience, "Can I tell you all, if anyone wants an autograph, cannot have one, because I don't do things like that." At the end of it, one of the producers came up with one of her little children who was only 4 years old and said that she knew he didn't do autographs, but told him that her daughter was only 4 and she really loves the Beatles. He just stared and said, "Really?" And then he said, "Did you not hear what I just said? I don't sign autographs." Yikes. David Letterman, former host of the David Letterman Show, has made some really weird on-screen moments while interviewing celebrities, and some of these stories are really hard to believe. When he was interviewing Madonna, he stopped the interview and asked her, "Why don't you go and kiss the guy in the audience?" Shocked, she said, "Why are you so obsessed with my love life?" He responded by saying, "Go kiss the guy in the audience. It would knock him out." She responded, "I can't. I've never succumbed to peer pressure." Interviewing Jennifer Lopez, he made the cameraman zoom into a close-up of her chest while saying, "That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good." Ew. David Letterman seems quite rude, but perhaps the rudest interview story has to go to Jesse Eisenberg. While promoting his new movie Now You See Me, the actor seemed to have a meltdown while in an interview, being extremely rude to the interviewer. Out of nowhere, Jesse brought up the often maligned comedian Carrot Top. Before long, it became clear that Eisenberg only brought up Carrot Top so he could mock the interviewer, whose name was Puga, her abilities as an interviewer. "Do you know the comedian Carrot Top? Well, you're like the Carrot Top of interviewers." "Yeah, it's a good thing. Don't cry now. Cry after the interview is over, because otherwise I'll look like I'm responsible for it." Yikes. After this back and forth conversation, Eisenberg half-heartedly performed a magic trick. Puga then asked Eisenberg if he could say her name to the camera. In response, Eisenberg asked Puga to explain what his motivation for saying her name was, like he was performing an acting exercise. When Puga asked Eisenberg to say her name like he was trying to find her in a crowded place, he quietly said her name. Puga then remarked that she would never be able to hear him in a club, and his explanation for why he was being quiet seemed very harsh. He said, "The thing is, I actually didn't want to find you. I actually was hoping to stay alone." After the interview was done, the interviewer said she went behind the curtain and cried. Shia LaBeouf, former Disney star known for his troubled past, turned heads when he wore a paper bag saying, "I am not famous anymore," to a red carpet premiere for his new movie. Just hours before the premiere, LaBeouf found himself sat with a panel in front of a room full of journalists as well as his co-stars. When asked about his decision to star in a movie with so many love scenes, he bent low over the microphone and replied, "When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much." He then got up, pushed the mic away, and stormed out of the conference, leaving the audience and his fellow panelists mystified. What does that even mean? Our final celebrity meltdown involves Miss Ariana Grande. In 2015, Ariana went with friends to a donut shop to grab a sweet treat. Everything was looking good until the employee at the donut shop supposedly turned around behind the counter, and while he wasn't looking, Ariana licked some of the donuts still for sale while saying, "I hate America," and later calling the donuts disgusting. The security footage of the incident went mega viral online, and Ariana quickly went to Twitter to apologize, saying, "Seeing a video of yourself behaving poorly that you have no idea was taken is such a rude awakening that you don't know what to do. I was so disgusted with myself." She said, "I'm not here to make any excuses or to justify my behavior because I can't. I'm just here to apologize."
Number 10. Joaquin Phoenix. We understand a dedication to one's craft, and Joaquin Phoenix is a prime example. Joaquin's acting career has been going steady since he first appeared in the 1989 comedy Parenthood when he was in his mid-teens. While he's seen as one of the greatest actors in recent history, his reputation on set was tarnished thanks to a little freak out while filming the 2018 soap solo flick Joker. He appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote the shoot when Jimmy played a behind-the-scenes clip of Joaquin getting loud and angry at a man named Larry and the constant whispering behind the cameras before dropping a few F-bombs and storming off the set. When the cameras came back to the studio, Joaquin was frozen in shock, clearly not expecting that clip to have ever seen the light of day. He explained that Larry was a cinematographer who had been teasing Joaquin off set earlier in the day, calling him a diva and referring to him as Cher. In fact, during his on-set outburst, you can hear him say, "But you gonna call me Cher, huh? How is that an insult? Huh? She's the best." He then explained that there's a lot of pressure on set, especially in a closed space like the apartment from the scene that they were filming. He apologized to the audience for having to see him behave in such a manner and watching him freak out on set, which was met with applause. At the end of the day, he's a performer, no harm ever came from the outburst. Hey man, if Larry's okay with it, so are we. Number 9, Nick Cage. One of the most unhinged men in Hollywood history. One of the few people who somehow managed to star in a billion movies but has barely seen or kept a cent of it. During a press junket in 1990, Nick went on a talk show called Wogan to discuss his latest project, Wild at Heart. When the host Terry Wogan announced Cage, he entered with karate kicks, a front flip somersault. He threw wads of cash at the audience because hey, he was Nicolas frickin' Cage, man! He finally sat down and moments before the interview truly began, Nick asked if he could just take off his jacket for a second. He proceeded to take off his jacket and the shirt that was underneath it. If people thought that Nick was all together before, they were proven very wrong during this interview. Despite the content being relatively tame, the entire time you can see the sweat glistening off Nick's hairy chest. Cause hey, guess what? Wearing a leather jacket on your bare chest is beyond uncomfortable. Sure, it might look cool until you take it off and you're covered in a heat rash. Nick's always been unhinged, but his odd behavior in the 90s was apparent and well documented thanks to him literally being in a minimal of 2 movies a year. Number 8, Christian Bale. Christian is a versatile actor, both physically and skill-wise. He's able to shrink and grow his physique seemingly at will. He's played everything from a skinny substance addict to Batman. In 2008, Christian starred in the 3rd film of the Terminator franchise, Terminator Salvation. While he was filming a scene, director of photography Shane Holbert apparently moved into Christian's eyesight. This caused Christian to snap out of character and into defense mode. The clip is now infamous of Christian screaming at Shane, but to make matters worse, anyone trying to calm Christian down on the set were met with an equally swift verbal lashing. While the cinematographer was just checking a light to make sure if it was in the right place, aka doing his job, Bale made it his mission to share his intense feelings with the entire crew. When the audio leaked, Bale apologized for his actions and told the world to praise the crew for their work. While the movie turned out okay, visually speaking, the project as a whole is remembered as one of the worst entries in the Terminator franchise to date. Number 7, Tom Cruise. Now, it's one thing to be asking people to join your church all the time. Whatever, not a big deal. But Tom's behavior as a member of society has been rough to say the least. Following the announcement that he was engaged to Katie Holmes in the early 2000s, Tom appeared on an episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show that has gone down in history as one of the most chaotic TV interviews of all time. From the moment he walks on stage, he has such a strange energy. He's oddly excited, like he just got told the best news in his entire life. He throws his arms up in the air, he rubs Oprah's shoulders like she's a lamp and he's trying to summon the genie. He revealed to the audience that the excitement was from his engagement to fellow actor Katie Holmes. Awesome, man, but hey, can you please just stop trying to break Oprah? Seriously, Tom jumped on her couch, he grabbed her hands over and over. She couldn't even get the questions that she had for him out because he was just so chaotic. Eventually, Oprah was like, whatever, just bring Katie out. And the cameras followed Tom through the studio as he ran around trying to find her. It looked like a scene from Paranormal Activity. It was horrifying. Tom's energy continued to stay at that level of chaos throughout his entire marriage to Katie, but since they're divorced, he's just nuts. He is just nuts now. Number 6, Will Smith. Wait a minute, when did Will Smith have a meltdown? Just kidding, you guys know this one by now. In 2022, Chris Rock was hosting the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Good old G.I. Jane joke. Rock expressed his excitement to see Jada in a fictional G.I. Jane movie, and immediately following the joke, Rock stood in confusion as Will Smith made his way to the stage. Will walked up, he adjusted his jacket, he looked strong, confident, he took a firm stance, and then he just smacked Chris right across the face just as hard as he could. He winded up his hand to conjure up the full power that he had inside of him. Initially, this was seen as a planned joke between the two, but then Will started shouting at Rock several times during the ceremony to keep his wife's name out out of his mouth. Chris handled the situation well though. He kept his cool, he laughed it off for the cameras, and he brought out the next award presenter, literally the classiest man of the night. He was professional and quick to get the night back on track, but unfortunately an hour later, Will Smith won the Oscar for Best Actor in a leading role in King Richard. He played Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams, and during his speech he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming that the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, the slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars indefinitely, and not just that, but he's been banned from Hollywood entirely, as he is now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from any upcoming projects and currently sits at home all day polishing his one and only Oscar while a single tear rolls down his face. Poor old Will Smith. Number 5. Joan Rivers. While speaking with CNN host Frederica Whitfield about her role as a fashion critique on the reality series Fashion Police, Joan did not appreciate the questions that she was being asked. While calm at first, the host claimed that Joan's comments on the show may be considered mean or cold-hearted, but the fans wanted to hear what she had to say. But before being able to even finish that sentence, Joan decided to clap back with, "It's not mean, excuse me," claiming that she says the truth. She's just saying whatever the people on the couch at home are probably thinking. She calls people and their styles ugly on TV. She may be cold, but her words are meant to heal and not to berate. Okay, so everyone who called me ugly in high school was just trying to encourage me? I don't think so. The interviewer then went on to ask Joan how she felt her words were coming across to the audience of both her show and the readers of her book, which apparently featured some pretty dark content about people that Joan just had no business discussing. Joan said, "If you can make something funny in life, do it. Hey, I've got pages and pages of jokes about the events in New York in 2001, but I'm not allowed to say them because they'd make people uncomfortable." Not a good defense, Joni. The final straw came when Joan was asked about the fur coat that she was wearing on the cover of her book and the backlash that she may face from animal rights activists. Well, Joan became furious and decided to leave the interview, but not before calling out Frederica for asking negative questions, for wearing leather shoes, and she reminded her that she made people laugh for over 50 years, okay? Quit asking me why I did this and why are you wearing that. I'm done. She walked off set and was never invited to return again. Number 4. Bobcat Goldthwait. Allow me to start this entry with an impression of Bobcat Goldthwait smelling something that he enjoys. Thank you. Bobcat may not be much of an actor these days, but in the 80s and 90s, this man was dominating the film and comedy scene. His zany brand of over-the-top high-energy performance was well received by any and all who saw him. Heck, I can still hear his voice echoing in my head whenever I think about Police Academy. In 1994, comedian Arsenio Hall invited his longtime friend Bobcat onto his talk show, which unfortunately was in its final days on air. When he heard of the cancellation, Bobcat decided to send a message to the big brains that made that dumb decision. He spray painted the words Paramount on the wall behind him, he threw furniture around, he breaks TV screens, all while Arsenio just sits back and laughs. When they returned from commercial break, the set was in ruins. Despite that though, Arsenio joked, saying, "The worst part of all this is that I gotta pretend like I'm mad at him." Jokes on him, that wasn't the only talk show meltdown that he's partaken in. A few years after this, Bobcat set a chair on fire on the Jay Leno show for no reason other than just for fun, I guess. Like he was standing there going, "Fire! Yay!" He was fined over $3,000 and made to replace the chair. In case you haven't noticed, he hasn't been asked to appear on any talk shows in recent history. So I wonder why. Number 3. Bill Murray. He came, he saw, he kicked his ass. Bill Murray, the star of box office beauties like Ghostbusters, Groundhog's Day, and Garfield, nope, Garfield, can't say it, I can't say it, nope, can't talk about it. Bill was doing a round of press in 2015 when he made an appearance on 2 talk shows equally as smashed. He stopped by MSNBC studios to appear on the show The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell. As the show was about to cut to break, Bill tries to sit and he falls on his tall studio chair. In the photo, you can see just how done O'Donnell is with Bill. According to Murray, after he finally got on his feet, he informed the audience that he had just finished doing the David Letterman show. He then went to dinner and had a few glasses of the no-no juice before stopping by the studio. As you may expect, Bill slurs his way through the entire interview, constantly going off topic to give the classic, "I love you guys, man, you're doing such a good job." Bill actually physically had a meltdown. He started sliding down in his seat to the point where he was almost doing the interview from the floor. I'm not telling anyone to drink no-no juice by any means, but I think we can all agree that inebriated Bill Murray is quite the hoot. Number 2. Anna Nicole Smith. Anna wasn't just your your average Playboy bunny turned Hollywood sweetheart. No. She was also a spokesperson for a line of dietary products after losing a significant amount of weight herself. At the 2004 American Music Awards, Anna took to the stage to introduce rap star Kanye West, but stumbled and fumbled her way through the entire thing, sparking widespread concern about her health. Her speech has lived on in infamy. She mumbles, fumbles, and tries to sell herself to the audience over and over again. Her former partner, Larry Burkhart, revealed the sad truth of the situation 10 years after her passing. He said that Anna had been taking medication at the time to help recover from her enhancement surgeries. She had chronic pain in every part of her body and unfortunately did not follow the recommended dosage her doctor prescribed. The night before the show, Anna had apparently suffered a small seizure and took copious amounts of medication to help ease the pain and keep her awake for the award show. The result was Anna appearing to be under the influence of something and Kanye West being brought out to one of the strangest introductions in awards show history. And at number 1, oh look, it's Tom Cruise again. I know, right? Shocker. We know Tom Cruise is insane. There's no denying that. He may be one of Hollywood's biggest and brightest in his early days, but his career and skills as an actor have slowly been going downhill ever since he divorced Katie Holmes. Now to prove his insanity and rage, let's just talk about an incident that occurred on his latest Mission Impossible movie set. An audio clip was released of Cruise berating several crew members with intense anger. The crew in question were accused of not following the safety protocols that were in place at the time. In his rant, Tom is heard swearing and screaming about the rules and how if he wants something to happen, it's gonna happen. The crew are essentially his minions who must do the master's bidding. The rant went viral, but Cruise actually defended his rant rather than apologizing for it, claiming that he said what he said and the stakes were at an all-time high, so suck it up. While this may have happened at a time when Hollywood was shut down and many productions were on hold, it's no excuse to harass the people trying to make you look good. Those are the celebrity meltdowns that were caught on camera. Did we miss any good ones? Well, let us know in the comments below. If you made it to the end of this video, congratulations! You just won a free cruise! Just give me $100 for a deposit first. You'll get it back, I swear. It's coming. Lightly tap that like button and keep coming back to the channel for more celebrity content. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen today, and we'll see you next time.
In at number 10, Robert Downey Jr. At this point, it's pretty common knowledge that RDJ had a history of drug addiction, but what most people don't realize is that his issues all began at 6 years old. His father was a filmmaker and drug addict who gave his young son a joint to smoke at the age of 6. Downey claims that he was surrounded by drugs as a young child and often used drugs as a way to bond with his troubled father. He believed that when they did drugs together was his father's way of expressing love for him in the only way that he knew how. He nearly ended his acting career though after being arrested several times for possession of cocaine, heroin, and marijuana use before spending a year in prison in 1999, which meant the cancellation of several acting jobs. Director Jodie Foster even caught him doing coke on the set of her movie called Home for the Holidays. She begged for him to get help, but Downey would continue to spiral out of control. After struggling even more with drug abuse between 2001 and 2003, Downey finally was able to kick the habit through a combination of the 12-step recovery program, meditation, yoga, and martial arts training. In at number 9, Vanilla Ice. Way back in 1999, before Jon Stewart was the host of The Daily Show, he was hosting a program on the set of MTV called MTV's Lane 25. On the show, the host would typically make fun of different music videos that had already aired on MTV, and then they would destroy the tape. I don't know why, it was just their thing to do. On one episode in particular, rapper Vanilla Ice came in at number 9 with his song Ice Ice Baby. The rapper was in the studio at the time of the criticisms, and he was planned to take to the set with a baseball bat and break the tape of his own song as per MTV's request. However, things didn't exactly go as planned. The jokes and comments must have really started to bug Vanilla Ice because he didn't just break the tape. Vanilla Ice took that baseball bat to the entire set, smashing everything and scaring everyone in the process. Luckily, he was able to bounce back from this meltdown by reinventing himself as a DIY superstar on different home improvement networks. How ironic would it be though for MTV to call Vanilla Ice and have him build them a new set? That'd be pretty great. I'd love to see that. In at number 8, Alec Baldwin. It is a well-known fact that actor Alec Baldwin has gotten into trouble several times after his interactions with the paparazzi. There's no doubt that these creepy photographers do invade the personal space of celebrities, but that being said, violence has never made them leave you alone either. Baldwin has been at the center of several cases where he was accused and literally photographed physically attacking photographers. The first accusation was in 1995 when he reportedly punched a paparazzi so hard that he broke the man's nose. However, in all of these incidents, Baldwin was never charged. Baldwin had another crazy meltdown on an airplane after a flight attendant asked him to turn off his phone so that they could take off. The actor made a big stink and even tweeted more about his meltdown, saying, "Flight attendant on American reamed me out for playing Words with Friends while we sat at the gate not moving." That is a meltdown indeed when it ends up on Twitter. In at number 7, Nicolas Cage. Back in April of 2011, Academy Award winning actor Nick Cage was arrested in New Orleans on 1 count of domestic abuse and 1 count of disturbing the peace. According to the local police, Cage was witnessed arguing with his wife in front of their home around midnight. Police say that Cage grabbed his wife by her upper arm and dragged her towards their property. He then apparently began to strike cars in the immediate vicinity and even attempted to jump into a taxi when the police arrived. At that point, the police immediately observed that Cage was heavily intoxicated, and so they ordered him out of the cab, which prompted Nick to start yelling. Cage allegedly started yelling, "Why don't you just arrest me?" to the police, which is exactly what happened next. However, even though Nick was taken into custody and charged, his wife apparently did not want him charged and said that there was no actual physical contact between them during the fight. Regardless, still a meltdown. In at number 6, Tom Cruise. It was the couch jump that truly rocked Hollywood and a side of the action hero Tom Cruise that we had never witnessed before. In short, it was a meltdown over passion for his newest love interest, Katie Holmes. At the time, Tom Cruise was one of the biggest celebrities in America, and he was already an established leading man with roles such as Top Gun and Jerry Maguire under his belt. He was appearing on the Oprah Winfrey Show though to promote his upcoming movie, which was Steven Spielberg's remake of War of the Worlds. However, instead of staying on script to his promo material, he could not stop gushing over his new girlfriend. Within 15 minutes of the interview, Tom had leapt onto Oprah's couch as Oprah struggled to find the words for his over-the-top infatuation. I think she just kept yelling, "He's gone. You're gone. This guy's crazy." In the moment, it was this very heartwarming thing to see though, but in hindsight, people watching that clip, maybe through a GIF or just a series of photos, it looks like Tom is acting at a school for an interview, so by all accounts and without hearing the audience's reaction, this was categorized as one of Tom's biggest TV meltdowns, but he was just really happy. In at number 5, David Hasselhoff. We all remember David Hasselhoff from his time on Baywatch, but in 2007 it seemed as though the Hoff had hit rock bottom. The weird part was that his daughter apparently filmed the whole debacle that ended up airing on the news. In the video, David was clearly drunk and apparently a little hungry. As he lay shirtless on the floor with his eyes beginning to shut, he does his best to pick apart a burger and feed it to himself, but the whole time he's doing this, Dave is just babbling in a drunken tone while falling over onto his food. In the video, you can actually hear his daughter Taylor begging him to grow up and even say, "You need to promise me you're not going to get alcohol tonight, okay?" Apparently Hasselhoff had asked his kids to film him anytime he falls off the wagon, I guess so that he can look back on it with shame and get his house in order. What a weird thing to make your kids do. In at number 4, Russell Crowe. Back in 2005, Russell Crowe was in Australia to promote his film that he had coming out. Shortly after 4 o'clock in the morning, Russell was having a difficult time trying to call his wife. So with his room phone not working, he went down to the concierge to use theirs. Crowe then got into an argument with the concierge, which led to him picking up the desk phone and throwing it out of anger and frustration. Unfortunately, in the process of doing this, the phone actually struck the hotel worker in the face. He was then arraigned on charges of second-degree assault and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon. By the way, the weapon was the phone that he threw. The Oscar winner then pled guilty, and the judge gave him a conditional discharge, which essentially means that he can't be arrested in Australia ever again. In at number 3, Michael Jackson. That is the king of pop hanging his baby blanket, yes, the baby's name was Blanket, out of a hotel window, Lion King style. This guy consistently buried his controversies by just manufacturing new ones. He was blasted by everyone online, calling him reckless and pointing out that he could have easily dropped his child in that moment, and here was his vague apology.
Any child. Try to kill them? Come on, stupid. And why would I put a scarf over the baby's face if I was trying to throw him off the balcony? We were waiting to thousands of fans down below.
For someone that was called the king of pop, you would think that he would be able to keep his cool, although these moments clearly show a celebrity that was out of control and in Michael's case, in desperate need of help. In at number 2, Britney Spears. The mid-2000s were certainly not kind to pop sensation Britney Spears. From a bitter divorce to having a very public meltdown, it was only a matter of time before she had her run-in with the law. In 2006, she was driving with her 4-month-old son on her lap when the police pulled her over, which is very illegal, by the way, yet because she's Britney Spears, there wasn't even a fine. Then just a year later, she was charged with a hit and run while also driving without a license. Initially, she was looking at a year in prison for this, but again, she ended up not even spending a minute behind bars. It really is a mystery how she was able to pull herself out of this downward spiral, but what's really concerning is how she managed to escape the law. Fame should definitely not exclude you from the repercussions of doing something illegal. Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Michael Richards. Michael Richards is known for his role as Kramer on Seinfeld. He's funny on that show because he literally had Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David writing for him, the two funniest people in the world. Although, when the show ended, Kramer thought that he could just transition into stand-up comedy and be just as funny. Unfortunately, when his set was not going well at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, he completely lost his mind and just buried his career. Someone heckled him, I guess, and then he went on to a tirade by screaming racial slurs and attacking the audience. It was so bad that a large majority of the crowd just up and left the club in the middle of his act. He was never able to redeem himself after this racist rant, and it will serve as a stark reminder that Kramer was never cool.
Every time I see this backdrop, I think about Kramer f***ing up.
With that though, let's check out some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 Celebrities Cancelled in 2020 Part 3. Zunard says, Johnny Rogers, I named my dogs after you. Johnny and Roger. I posted this on my IG stories too. Thank you so much. This is a true honor, and hopefully your dogs don't start talking really fast because they took my name. I hope I don't pass it on to them. Gaming account says, Johnny is the only cool one. And the hair is longer. Yeah, the hair is getting real long. I don't know. We're gonna have to grow it out Johnny Depp style. We'll see what happens. But thank you so much. You guys are really dropping the compliments on this video. Jim King says, catnap? Really? You can do better than this. Come on, Jim. If you haven't gotten used to my dad jokes by now, then I can't help you. Connor Davidson says, I actually don't get why Gal Gadot is getting hate for that. What's wrong with singing a song with friends who are famous people? LOL. Well, if you listen to the words that they're singing, that's where the anger comes in. People were worried about their grandparents dying from this disease, and here to ease our worries were a bunch of millionaires in their mansions singing, imagine there's no heaven. Yeah, that's what we need right now. Imagine there's no heaven. My grandma just died, and Gal Gadot is telling me, imagine she's just in the ground. Mashia Washington says, thanks Johnny for this vid, I'm about to take a Doja Cat nap right now. You see Jim, some people get the joke. Much love to you, Miss Washington. And that has been the Top 10 Celebrity Meltdowns. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to our editors for all their hard work. If you enjoyed this video, then please show us some love by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, don't forget to leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on today's list. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is tap that playlist when it pops up.
In at 10, Bjork. Oh, Bjork, she has had a rough life. Not only did she have to go through the grueling process of working with Lars von Trier, who she openly hated and admitted to spitting in his face every day, she also had a crazed stalker who ended up killing himself on camera, which in turn was uploaded to YouTube. So you can imagine Bjork would be a little high-strung. Well, back in 1996, Bjork arrived at the airport in Thailand, only to be greeted by paparazzi and reporters wanting interviews. The singer was with her children, and by the time one of the reporters stated, "Welcome to Thailand," she had had enough and began to attack her, knocking her to the ground and striking her repeatedly.
Cool. The British-born journalist was more stunned than injured.
It was not a good look for the singer. Violence is never the answer, but you can also understand a mother wanting to protect her children. Coming in at 9, Vanilla Ice. Remember Vanilla Ice, the one-hit wonder who blessed us with Ice Ice Baby? Ice Ice Baby. Well, he must have known his 15 minutes of fame were coming to an end back in 1999, because he accelerated his demise when he appeared on the MTV Lame 25. Prior to The Daily Show, Jon Stewart used to host a show along with Dennis Leary, Chris Kattan, and Janine Garofalo called MTV's Lame 25, where the host would make fun of music videos that aired on MTV's network and then would proceed to destroy the tape. However, on this particular occasion, the Vanilla Ice guilty pleasure found itself at number 9 on the list, so what went down? Well, the rapper proceeded to show up at the studio, as planned, and took a baseball bat to his tape for this song. However, it didn't stop there. He ended up taking the bat to the entire set, absolutely terrifying everyone in the process, something that definitely wasn't planned.
Popcorn for everybody. Sorry about the set there, guys. Well, the tape's fine. What? Everything else is no.
Coming in at 8, David Hasselhoff. It is common knowledge that former actor David Hasselhoff used to battle with alcohol and drug addiction. But things hit rock bottom for the actor back in 2007 when his daughter filmed him in his Las Vegas home on a bender and eating a burger. The Baywatch legend was seemingly as drunk as could be, so he ordered burgers and sloppily ate them on the floor of his bathroom, wearing nothing but a pair of blue jeans. This video is heartbreaking to watch and listen to because in the background you can hear a 16-year-old daughter begging for him to grow up. However, what makes this video interesting is that his daughter was filming him because David had reportedly asked her to if he were to ever fall off the wagon, and that he did. Thankfully, Hasselhoff got sober and is still a pop culture icon to this day, milking appearances and making the odd cameo in bad movies, even the Baywatch remake.
Because if you get alcohol tonight, you're fired from your show tomorrow. And the doctor is coming over here in the morning to check your alcohol level. and if you have any alcohol in your system, you're going to be fired from the show.
Coming in at 7, Michael Jackson. Back in 2002, Michael Jackson was still considered to be one of the greatest pop stars in the world, which is bizarre to me because at that point we all knew what went down at Neverland. But anyway, I digress. In 2002, Jackson was in his hotel room in Berlin, Germany, where there were a ton of paparazzi present outside of his suite. So what did the King of Pop decide to do? Well, he opened up his window and dangled his baby son Prince Michael II over the balcony. The crowd gasped in horror before the singer pulled the baby back and into his arms and went inside. This cemented everyone's belief that Michael Jackson was losing it, both professionally and personally, with the singer spending years following defending his bizarre actions. Coming in at 6, Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback to Hollywood was major news when he was cast as Iron Man in Marvel's first film in the MCU. It was huge for the actor who had openly struggled with addiction for years, even spending some time in jail, and even being fired from his sitcom Ally McBeal after being arrested for trespassing into a neighbor's property. He has an entire list of criminal things he has done in his past, so you can imagine he wouldn't be keen on talking about them, especially when he's promoting a huge blockbuster movie that is essentially salvaging his career. While the folks over at Channel 4 clearly didn't get that memo, with them probing the actor, asking him about his bad boy days and even about his relationship with his father before the actor finally reaches his breaking point.
And I just wondered whether, you think you're free of all of that, or whether that's still something.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions.
Walking out, stating, "Sorry, it was just getting a little Diane Sawyer-y." Shots fired. Coming in at 5, Charlie Sheen. Back in 2011, Charlie Sheen gave a somewhat questionable interview on The Today Show about his firing from the CBS sitcom 2.5 Men. He discussed his recovery from addiction, but appeared completely erratic and unhinged while doing so.
Abusing alcohol. It's their show.
Epic behavior. After reading about that, then they observed a guy hitting every mark, nailing every line, every joke.
Not only did he make the word winning iconic and somewhat of a meme, but he also coined the phrase tiger blood, which is apparently what's running through his veins. Of course, as we know, Sheen was fired from the show for bad-mouthing the creator Chuck Lorre, which he discussed in this very strange interview, making the bold claim that his passion is often perceived as anger. Dude, there was nothing passionate about your remarks. Get a grip. Coming in at 4, Kanye West. What could he have possibly done? Well, I think you know. And if not, well, you're in for a treat. Back in 2009 at the Video Music Awards, folks were happily in their seats watching on as Taylor Swift was announced as the winner for Best Female Video for her work on You Belong to Me. She was happy, others were happy, however, not everyone, and certainly not Kanye West, who had to express openly on the stage how unhappy he was. Kanye took to the stage, grabbed the award and the mic from Taylor's hand, stating, "Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'll let you finish, but Beyonce has one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time." The room went silent, everyone was cringing in discomfort, and of course, the camera cuts to Beyonce, perhaps cringing more than anyone. Kanye then left the stage, forcing Taylor to have to deal with the cleanup. Thankfully, Kanye was booted out of the award show for his antics, which resulted in the "Is Kanye okay?" trend that circulated around the internet for a while. Meanwhile, Taylor was crying backstage. But hey, at least she won. Coming in at 3, Shia LaBeouf. Everyone loves Jerry's Deli, is one of the greatest places to grab a sandwich in downtown LA. However, back in 2017, it seems Shia LaBeouf went there for an entirely different reason. He was having a few drinks, until those drinks became a few too many, and when Shia asked the bartender for some french fries, he refused. The actor proceeded to call the server the N-word, but it didn't end there. These racist tirades happened once again, but this time when he was pulled over in Georgia, with Shia proceeding to tell the officer, "You're going to hell. Straight to hell, bro." Both incidents negatively impacted Shia's career, with it becoming public knowledge that some casting directors are too scared to hire him because they don't know what they're going to get. Coming in at 2, Christian Bale. Remember the film Terminator Salvation? Yeah, me either. But apparently it was a thing that happened and we all seemingly missed it. For the best, probably. Well, anyway, back in February 2009, while on the set of this god-awful movie, Christian Bale had a little hissy fit. During one particular scene, a director of photography entered Bale's field of view while he was filming. So, what did he do? He shut it down, stating, "What the F are you walking right through? What the F is it with you? What don't you effing understand? You got any effing idea about, hey, it's effing distracting having somebody walking up behind Bryce in the middle of the effing scene? Give me an effing answer. Why don't you get it?" Yeah, that happened.
What don't you get about it?
I was looking at the light.
Oh, good for you!
Lesson number 1, if you ever find yourself working alongside Christian Bale, don't walk into a shop. Don't even look his way, better yet just leave the building and don't return. Although I will give it to Bale, he had his entire meltdown while doing an American accent. I applaud that. And finally, coming in at number 1, Tom Cruise. Of course, could anything possibly top Tom Cruise's infamous and crazy interview back in 2005 on the Oprah Winfrey Show? No, definitely not. Back in 2005, Cruise was on the top of the world, promoting his newest film, The War of the Worlds, directed by Steven Spielberg. However, things didn't go quite according to plan during his interview with Oprah, who proceeded to ask him about his relationship with actress Katie Holmes. Cruise clearly couldn't read the room because he proceeded to stand up on the sofa and jump up and down, spouting out his love for Holmes. Now, the audience cheered along, but most viewers were uncomfortable and a little scared. Following the incident, his public image took a hit, with Cruise coming off unstable, with folks focusing more on his Scientology beliefs and his bizarre antics.